the management, good commentary coming through. Godrej Consumers takes the bearing there. CEO exit and a shocking one at that, as having an impact on that stock too. It's opened down almost 8 to 9% and then has been there as well. But let me welcome in our guest now for today. Tapan Doshi is the research analyst at CATapan.in and Lakshmikant Shukla, technical research analyst at Wealth Research in Yes Security, is now joining in. Both of you, thanks so much for joining in, gentlemen. And let me start taking the first stock related query. This one is coming in from Ram, who's from Chennai. He has almost 80 shares of HDFC AMC Tapan, bought at 1,000 rupees. So he's in good gains. Wants to know if he can still continue to hold. He has a very long-term view, Tapan. What would be your recommendation?
Yeah, of course. No, I think this company is good. And if you see the SIP flow is quite strong. Again, their equity AUM growth is quite good this time also. And you know that operating leverage now, that is why they are working on it. And hopefully the margin will be better. Only we have to see from the SEBI point of view, if something comes, then it's a different thing. Otherwise, it is the only thing, the volatility of the market may impact. But I think it's an asset light, high ROE, and the overall distribution is quite strong. So yes, please hold for the long term. This will give you a decent return over the time.
Query is coming in from Bhaskara Madhusudan from Hyderabad. He wants to know whether is it a right time to buy the shares of Sterlite Tech. Lakshmikant, any view on Sterlite Tech? Clear at all. Your voice is not clear. Can you please check on your side? I'll ask this query to Tapan for that. Sterlite Tech, Tapan, any view?
Of course, if you see the recent orders are quite good. Fundamentally, of course, good stock to hold over the time. But the valuation, honestly, it's on a much more on a higher side. If you see OFS demand is recovering again for data center opportunity is quite big. Again, AI connectivity demand will be strong. Even for telecom capex also their timing is quite good. So I'm quite positive on Sterlite, but to enter at a fresh level, fresh entry, I think will wait for 10-15% down at least minimum. And if you are holding this up, please hold this stock.
Up massive 4x in the last year itself. But the next one coming in on TBZ, Raj is actually holding this share and he wants to know if it's a good time to enter as well right now. The Q1 results came yesterday, Tapan. His question being if it's still a good time to enter. We've seen, of course, the larger players do well. Stocks down 9% right now. How do you look at this, Tapan, or should he ignore, focus on the larger players?
See, I'm positive on this sector, but I'm not positive on this particular stock. And their counterparts are doing quite well now. Of course, the wedding demand is strong and store expansion for TBZ will be good. But the problem is, they are quite regional concentrated. And again, the working capital is putting a pressure on their profitability. So if someone wants to go, I think I'll go for Kalyan or Titan. That will be a better option.
Right. The next query is from Ashwini from Chennai. Wants to know the short-term target of EPL. Lakshmikant, any view on EPL?
So EPL Limited has seen a spike in today's sessions. Today it has surpassed its previous swing high of 246. So I think immediate support is seen around the levels of 240 to 242 kind of range. Holding this support, we will see further upside move toward the levels of 265 to 270 kind of range. So a short-term target will be 270 and one can keep the stop loss of 240 on the downside.
Got it. Tapan as well, Lakshmikant, stay on. Important to put in focus GSW Dulux on the back of its quarterly results. Now, let me welcome in our guest as well to get that conversation going. Rajiv Rajgopal, the Joint Managing Director and CEO at JSW Dulux, now joining in. Mr. Rajgopal, very good morning to you, sir. Thanks so much for joining in. It's Puneet this side. My first question largely being, on the results as well, because while on a consolidated basis, you are seeing a dip essentially in revenue. I just want to understand if we remove that part of the business which is excluded, your growth would have been much better. That's also reflected in your strong volume growth of almost 20-25% in this quarter. So has this been largely broad-based across decoratives as well as the industrial side of things, or are you seeing some larger growth in a particular segment? What would be that at this point of time, sir?
Puneet, good morning to you and all the viewers at NDTV Profit. So it's wonderful to be back. You're absolutely right. So I'll just run you through the numbers so that I just want to be clear in terms of what the results are. First and foremost, our revenue growth is 965. Revenue is 965 crore. The like-to-like for last year is 812. So it's a 18.8% revenue growth. Yeah, the gross margin is 360.8 versus 353.6, about a 2%. EBITDA against 100 last year, 100.4, we did 115.1 this year, which is 14.7% growth. And the PAT is 135.5 this year versus 67.2, which is 101.6%. So suffice to say that when you take out the carved out business, you can clearly see that we've had a stupendous growth led by volume, right? There are two reasons. To your question, is it across all the segments? Yes, it is broad-based. It's across all segments. All the businesses have grown very high double-digit growths, both in volume and value. In decorative business, since you specifically mentioned, our premium has grown astoundingly well, over 20%, both in volume and value, and that has been the driver of the growth, right? But we've also equally grown in our automotive and specialty coatings business, our industrial coating business, and our marine and protective business. So it's been a fantastic growth all through. The challenge has been, I think, what's happened is the people have picked up the reported numbers of last year, which includes all the business which finally got carved out.
Okay. Now coming on to the raw material side, sir. Given the fact that crude oil prices were higher, despite that you have able to manage the RM cost very well here. But will the impact of higher crude oil prices will reflect in the coming quarters, given the fact that earlier you might have the inventory, now the inventory must be going out, so the high price crude inventory might come in?
So two, one, we had a high priced inventory. In fact, what happened was our opening stock being very little. Last quarter, we actually got impacted in our decorative business because of our, cover. As all of you know, we typically keep only less than 90 days across both our business put together of inventory. And that had come down in decorative, got really impacted. But that's getting sort of neutralized as we move forward. Difficult to predict how crude will move. I do see that it's going to be a bit of a tough quarter as far as crude's concerned in the current quarter. But again, going forward, I see all this getting corrected. So I don't really see, unless there is something which is really going to take crude above 100, I really don't see a material difference coming in, from a long-term perspective.
Should we expect the margin levels to remain at the current level, or is there room for further expansion?
So first, our margin has been sort of scaled to now 13 to 15% on EBITDA. And the reason for that is we are going to invest now across we are going to broad base our portfolio. Dulux in decorative has almost a 45% contribution in premium. And if you really want to grow and grow faster than the market, the only way to do that is to play more aggressively in some of the other segments. And as a result, there would be a certain margin dilution. Secondly, we've had a huge amount of team members because, again, if you remember, Axo was not really focusing on the growth, was really focusing on EBITDA percentages. And what we are committed to is to A, grow faster than market, B, make sure that absolute EBITDA over the last year grows. So these are the two. Now, in the process, there could be a marginal dilution, but yes, the endeavor is to be within the band of 13 to 15% EBITDA margin as we start moving forward.
Just a follow-up, Mr. Rajgopal, before I ask my question. So you had taken a 10% price increase between January to March. If you can quantify the price increase that you've taken in quarter one?
So if you look at our average price increase in quarter one is 5.8%.
Okay.
Is the sort of, because in the industrial, as all of you and I think the other players have mentioned, it doesn't come very easily. It takes time. So that's something that even in this quarter we are continuing to see. Decorative, we took the price and the exit price was close to about 10.9%. However, Remember that we had taken some price corrections because Dulux was at serious premiums when we were, the Akzo Nobel India entity was acquired. And one of the things we decided as a strategy to do was to be within at a reasonable premium, a premium of about 2% rather than being at about 8-9% over the market leader. And hence, those corrections were taken in September last year and in January early this year. And that's what's really paying dividends. And that's what's really driving some of the growths, as you can see.
Got it. And you haven't taken any kind of price increase in July or till August as of now. Would that be a correct assessment?
That's correct. That's correct. Our focus now
Got
is
it.
driving distribution, making sure that we get the brand and making sure that we really bring, Dulux back into the hearts
Got
and
it.
minds of our people as we move
Just
forward.
one question from my side, because you mentioned that the focus on growth is back. You are currently at that 4.5 to 5% kind of market share. Is it reasonable to assume that you will be closer to that 6.5% by the end of the year? I know there's a lot of geopolitical landscape, there is industry pressure amongst and competition increase, but would that be a fair assessment? I think 6% is something on the cards for you.
That's what we are targeting. I mean, we want to get as quickly as possible. If the plan was not, by March, it would take a little longer, but the endeavor is to get quickly to 6%. You're absolutely right.
And just as we wrap, you mentioned about the price decreases essentially that you did in September, then the increase to take forward the RM price increase. Are you seeing more growth essentially in your premium side of the portfolio? Because we've also seen that for players.
Yes.
While the overall volume growth is increasing, within segments, the putties and everything is also starting to have a larger impact on the overall volume growth. So for you, how is that when you mentioned 25% growth? Is that led by the premium side of the business, and now you are expanding your portfolio in the middle as well as the lower end of the schemes within the broader product portfolio for you?
Yes, it is the premium which has driven the growth, Puneet, in decorative and across our industrial segments. So yes, it is premium which is driving the growth as far as we are concerned.
Well, Mr. Rajgopal, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining in, giving us your time to NDTV Profit. We wish you the best. Look forward to our next conversation, sir.
Thank you.
Well, let's get back to your stock-related queries now. The next one coming through is on Pine Labs. Our viewer Vedant wants to know if it's a good bet for the next 1 to 2 years. Tapan, thanks for patiently waiting by. Would you recommend Pine Labs right now for the next couple of years?
See, if I see the valuation and all that, no, it's little bit on a higher side. No, again, if you see the profitability is evolving, but I think overall EBITDA expansion will take time. Again, even the positiveness is that merchant base is growing and credit business is also growing. But I think multiple revenue stream they are going to go. We have to see how they are going to do it. So my take is currently no. Wait for a little bit correction, then only get in.
Next query is from Shankar from Bangalore. He wants to enter Tata Capital. He's planning to buy around 250 shares. Any price target to enter this counter? Lakshmikant, your view?
So Tata Counter has seen a profit booking from last few sessions. So I think near-term support is seen around the levels of 355 to 358 kind of range. So I think once they take a dip toward these levels, from there one can initiate long position, can expect the upside move toward the levels of 385 to 390 on a short-term basis.
Start the rapid fire round in this edition of the show. Tapan as well as Lakshmikant, keep your answers as short as possible. First question is on Nalco. Nitin Singh from Dehradun holding shares at 381. Tapan wants to know if he should still continue to hold and ride the wave.
Yeah, please hold.
Next query is on Lenskart. It's for you, Lakshmikant. Kavya from Hyderabad is currently holding 500 shares, bought at a price of 530. Should she hold or sell?
So hold with the stop loss of 50, can expect upside move toward the levels of 620.
Got it. Jaydeep from Mumbai wants to know about Chennai Petroleum stocks run up massively, Tapan, especially in this week. Is it still a good time to enter?
No, not now.
The next query is on LG India. It's for you, Tapan. The viewer Manideep from Andhra Pradesh is holding 60 shares and wants to know whether is it a good to hold this counter for long term.
No, sell on rise.
Next one coming to you, Lakshmikant, on Varun Beverages. Our viewer Kanan holds shares at 447. Wants to know a short-term view of this counter.
So short-term view is negative. I think it could take a dip toward the levels of 425.
The next query is for you, Lakshmikant. It's on Emphasis. Jay from Bangalore has entered this counter at a level of around 2400. Can he hold this counter for the next 3 months?
I think the way it has given breakout, I think he should hold this counter.
The next one's on Irida. Our viewer is holding their share at 165 Tapan, so he's currently sitting on a loss. Asking if it's, and he's holding almost 1,000 shares, so it's a big amount that he's invested. Should he book out is his question, and if so, what can he buy right now?
Honestly, I'm not positive. So currently hold, but as it goes above 125, 130, slowly and gradually start moving out.
The next query is on Som Distilleries. It's for you, Lakshmikant. Sudhakar from Sambhajinagar is holding 100 shares at a price of 74. Should he hold or exit?
I think he should hold and continue toward, can expect the target of 80.
On Aarti Industries is the next question. Our viewer Raja is holding shares at 450. Wants to know, Lakshmikant, what could be a target for this counter?
So I'm expecting the target of 530 as it has formed a strong base around its short-term moving averages.
Next query is for you, Lakshmikant. It's on KPIT Tech. Prashant wants to know whether it's a good time to buy KPIT Tech based on charts.
So KPIT Tech has seen a profit booking from last few sessions. So I'm expecting downside move. Probably it could retest its previous swing low of 580.
Got it. The next question coming in, it's on MCX. Sandeep holds shares at 2930. Tapan wants to know if he should still continue to hold. We actually had a couple of brokerage notes come through in the morning as well. Any view?
Yeah, I'm positive. Even at dips also you should buy.
The next query is for you, Tapan. It's on Shipping Corporation of India. Satyan wants to know whether should he buy more of Shipping Corporation India for long term.
Yeah, buy, but on dips, maybe 10% dip.
Got it. The next one coming through, and this one's from Akhil, who's from Pune. Wants to know about Kansai Nerolac. He's bought shares at 163 and can hold for the next 3 to 4 years. Tapan.
Sell.
Got it. Well, that was the last question of the rapid fire. But Tapan as well as Lakshmikant stay on. A lot more stock-related queries on the other side after this very short break.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अंबा शक्ति प्लांट की वर्ल्ड रेनाउंड टेक्नोलॉजी देती है स्टील को ज्यादा ताकत हर बार। अंबा शक्ति SDTMT।
जानते हैं मैं एलीट मैट्रिमोनी क्यों रिकमेंड करता हूं? 17 years of experience, largest database of elite profiles और 100% confidentiality. Elite Matrimony, India's most successful matchmaking service for the elite.
POK के फायरिंग रेंज में खड़े हैं.
Just few inches away is POK.
तो हो सकता है दुश्मन को पता हो कि सैफ अली खान यहाँ पर खड़े हैं. Is it fire?
Celebrating excellence across journalism and innovation, NDTV steals the spotlight at the 12th BCS Ratna Awards 2025-26. Best English News Channel of the Year, NDTV 24/7. Best News App of the Year, NDTV. Best Election Coverage of the Year, West Bengal Election Coverage. Best Podcast Show of the Year, NDTV Control All Defense. Best Primetime Anchor of the Year, Syed Suhail. Best Female Anchor of the Year, Vasudha Venugopal. Best On-Ground Coverage of the Year, Operation Sindoor Coverage. NDTV, the network of impact.
Buy now, sell immediately. Hold it, boss. Buy now, sell. Hold. Buy. Sell immediately.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
Move sets the day, and in markets, being early is the edge. The edge begins the night before.
Before India wakes up, the newsroom is already buzzing because the market rewards those who are prepared.
That's where we come in, tracking momentum and where the markets could move next.
I decode the global pulse, shaping the market mood.
I bring insights that help you make decisions that matter.
Insight by insight, call by call. That's how we give you a head start to the day's trade.
So get ready with us every morning before the opening bell on India Market Open.
They say morning shows the day. Markets often have other plans. By midday, the story can be very different. That's when the right insights helps you rethink the day. Trades, trends, the moves that matter. Join me, Nisha Poddar, for Markets at 12, your edge for every move.
Buy, sell, hold, hold.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Your first move sets the day, and in markets, being early is the edge. The edge begins the night before.
Before India wakes up, the newsroom is already buzzing because the market rewards those who are prepared.
That's where we come in, tracking momentum and where the markets could move next.
I decode the global pulse, shaping the market mood.
I bring insights that help you make decisions that matter.
Insight by insight, call by call. That's how we give you a head start to the day's trade.
So get ready with us every morning before the opening bell on India Market Open.
Buy now,
sell immediately.
Hold it, boss.
Buy now,
Sell. Hold.
buy, sell immediately.
Breaking news coming in, N. Chandra has resigned as Tata Sons chairperson and won't seek a reappointment. This is news that has been brewing for some time, and you've finally gotten clarification. Of course, at this moment, it is still source-based information. We're yet to get official comment from any functionary of the Tata Group as a whole. There is no official statement by Tata Sons either. A few factors that you need to bear in mind. N. Chandra, of course, took charge as the chairperson, executive chairperson of Tata Sons in February of 2017. And this is after that tumultuous period when Cyrus Mistry was removed as the chairman of Tata Sons. He took charge just after Ratan Tata returned as interim chairman. He was appointed as the executive chairman, and it was, of course, a unanimous recommendation at the time of that selection committee in January of 2017, and then formally took charge in February of 2017. In that first 5 years, the focus was primarily on consolidation of the group's entities. So you had several legacy issues that the group had to contend with, including what was happening with Tata Motors, and quite a few changes were undertaken over that 5-year period, particularly having to do with the strategy of the passenger vehicle business. Now, what happened after that was in February of 2022, he sought a reappointment for a second 5-year term, and he was granted that. In the second 5-year period, though, there were some landmark decisions that had been taken. It was significant capital investment that was made by the group in Air India. There was also the venture that was announced in semiconductors, electronics, as well as batteries and renewables, and the digital platforms as well. I'm joined now by NDTV Profit's managing editor Tamanna Inamdar, who's picked this information up. She's joining on the phone line, and she has more clarity on this. Tamanna, this seems to have been brewing for some time, and this is happening just ahead of that critical board meeting.
It's a very, very significant development, Alex. Maybe one that is unprecedented in the storied Tata Group. What we are learning is that N. Chandra will be stepping down before his term ends and not seeking a reappointment. Now, this comes at a time when in earlier meetings, he was reportedly asked about the performance of the group. And it's also coming from an internal tension with one of the largest shareholders, which is Tata Trust. So it is a very significant development, and one that we have not really seen in a group like the Tata Group. Now, what has been the genesis sort of all the events that have led onto this? There have been clashes over a number of issues, whether it's board representation, strategy, how Shapoorji Pallonji's exit, that's a minority shareholder, how that exit took place. It, of course, led to the ouster of a Tata Sons director as well. Now, how that resignation will be accepted, what happens later will remain to be seen. But remember, there is an August 18th annual general meeting when there was a vote on his reappointment. What we are learning is that there was a lot of parleys before about shoring up support, and perhaps Mr. Chandrasekhar has now got a sense that that vote will not go through and has chosen to step down. A final decision, of course, on the acceptance of this will be seen. We are also expecting a formal confirmation of this shortly. We're learning that there will be a statement, perhaps from the company, on what this means and what has happened. But it is truly a very, very significant development, one that we have not seen in the Tata Group before this.
Absolutely. The other factor, of course, that has to be borne in mind, and you brought up that very critical point of the AGM that is scheduled for the 18th of August. In terms of his term, it's set to continue, of course, till February of 2027 when it comes to an end. Bear in mind that N. Chandra is currently 63 years of age. And so if that 5-year extension was to take place, it would require a relaxation of the norms that would normally have kept him in office till the age of 65. And so that is not something that will have to be considered at all, considering that he is resigning as Tata Sons chairman and won't be seeking a reappointment. A few of the key decisions, of course, that have come up for debate in the recent past has been the capital allocation specifically and the treatment of Air India and the venture into aviation at a time when the industry as a whole has had question marks about profitability of airlines. And of course, Tata Group has been in this space before. The reclaiming of Air India has been something that was discussed quite significantly. The other aspect, of course, has to do with certain governance tensions which have been alluded to as well. I'm joined by HP Ranina now, just to get a perspective on what is a very, very important milestone in the group's storied history. Mr. Ranina, what do you make of the fact that Mr. N. Chandra has not sought reappointment and is tendering his resignation ahead of that AGM?
I think it's not only a significant development, it's a very unfortunate development, because the Tata Group, the fact that he has resigned prematurely indicates that things are not very well, and therefore he has chosen to step down before the date of his retirement in February 2027. So it's a very unfortunate development which should have been avoided at all costs. Unfortunately, this has happened. Now, my view is that possibly he has stepped down because he feels that things are going against the group or things are not happening as they should. And therefore, it's better that he steps down before things get even worse for the Tata Group and to get the blame on him. Also, I think he may feel that he has better opportunities elsewhere, and therefore it is easier for him to move now rather than wait for another 6 months. So my view is that this is a very, very unfortunate development and something which is not in the interest of the shareholders, investors of Tata Group at all.
While you said this is unfortunate, we have seen this change of guard at the top in the Tata Group earlier with, Cyrus Mistry as well. So it has taken place before in one sense or the other. What are the deep issues you think that could have led to this? This is Tamanna here, and we'd just like to know your view on this, sir.
Well, this is, I cannot say what must have transpired in the Tata Group. That is something which only they would know. But obviously the signs are not good because Chandra could have easily stayed on till February. It's only 6 or 7 months from today. And the fact that he stepped down much earlier indicates that that is something which is wrong and which he doesn't want to face at a later. So this is the thing. While there may be a change of guard, but change of guard can always take place in a very positive and a gradual way. He could have just said that he doesn't want to be reappointed. There was no need for him to resign right now. So that is what is a question on which I'm very, very, and I think it's very unfortunate that this has happened.
Yeah, the other aspect, of course, is continuance of strategy for the group as a whole, and for the group to have so many entities that are of critical nature, that are listed and that are tracked by so many individuals, that are invested in by so many individuals and institutions. What does this mean for the direction that the group has been taken in since February of 2017, and what does it mean for the next 5 years?
Well, as far as the strategies are concerned, obviously they will have to be retuned, revamped. All depends on who is the new person, the head of affairs. So that is something which we don't know. I mean, whether they'll continue with the old, whether they'll do some time remains to be seen. But obviously the intention is to change things, and if he has resigned, maybe he felt that the existing directors did not have faith in him or did not feel that he should continue. So he has preempted the measure and just put in his own resignation. So strategies may continue, strategies may be changed because there have been some type of concerns that what he has been doing is not bringing enough profitability. It is all to be seen how the board of directors, I think that now the whole burden falls on the board of directors. How will they now react? What strategies they will do? Who will be put in charge as an interim CEO? All that has to be seen. It's the entire board is now responsible, and they have to take their own share of blame. To say that somebody went into the aviation business, well, that was done before. I don't think this is something which Chandra may have taken a decision. It was a whole collective decision of the board. So let us not forget that there is a whole collective decision of the board is also involved, not just the CEO. CEO only implements the decision which the board takes.
Yes.
It's the board which is entirely responsible.
Yes, it's a good point. I'm joined, Mr. Ranina, by my colleague Shrimi Chaudhary, who has source-based information on this story. And everybody's wondering at this stage what the final push was for Chandra to make the decision to resign ahead of time. Shrimi, are you picking up any information that can suggest why that has taken place?
Yeah, so LHC, this has been going on for some time, a lot of uncertainty, and we've been seeing in a lot of reports as well. I mean, we would not like to speculate at this point, but a couple of things which is very clear. One, that Tata Sons chairman tenure runs until February 2027, but his continuation as chairman hinges on his reappointment as a director at the company, which needs to be, or which was scheduled to be taken up in the August 18 AGM, and that's clear in the AGM document. Now, two people familiar with the development inside the Tata Group is saying that the issue has become a very key point of discussion ahead of the AGM, also because the trustee is supposed to meet tomorrow, August 13. All the trustees are supposed to meet and decide on the voting position. Now, this is before the resignation actually came. But this is crucial from a point of view that they were the reappointment as a director of N. Chandra was the part of AGM which was coming on August 18, and before that August 13, the date is again very crucial because there they had to take the voting position, which is not clear from all the trustees. Now, one important legal position which we need to keep in mind is about the Maharashtra Charity Commissioner, Mumbai Charity Commissioner, because they have restrained the SRTT, Ratan Tata trustee, to not participate in AGM because of some separate issue which has been going on. So they in fact sought Charity Commissioner approval to participate in AGM, and that's very crucial because they wanted to meet and decide on the voting position on all the agenda which is part of AGM. So this all development is of course intertwined, and one thing was very clear in the entire thing, that trustees were divided on the N. Chandra reappointment. It's very, very clear, and that's what we are picking up so far.
Shimi, thanks so much for that. While we're speaking about this very critical development for the Tata Group as a whole, take a look at some of the stock prices. Tata Consultancy Services, of which N. Chandra for the longest time was an integral part, and in fact credited for having brought it to the point where it reached when he made that shift to Tata Sons, is down the most at this juncture. But practically all of the entities of the Tata Group that are listed are losing ground in trade today, whether it's Titan or Tata Power, Tata Steel. Tata Capital is just about flat in trade right now. But if you're tuning in right now for the first time, what we know, and this is source-based information, and that is that N. Chandra has tendered his resignation as the chairman of Tata Sons. Remember, he was expected to hold on, or has the continuance of his term till February of 2027. This is his second 5-year term. So he has, at this point, served a little over 9 years as the chairperson of Tata Sons. And there is a critical AGM that is scheduled for the 18th of, in fact, later this month, I believe, August, 18th of August, when there's set to be voting, or there was set to be voting to take place on this issue. Devin Choksi is joining us right now just to bear in or to weigh in on this critical development from the perspective of the listed entities as well. Devin bhai, thanks so much for taking the time. N. Chandra was supposed to have his term as chairperson of Tata Sons till February of next year. He's tendered his resignation ahead of time. This seems to be because the chances of him being reappointed were dissipating. What do you think about this development, and what does it mean for a group as a whole?
Yeah, little sad to find that the end is happening in this manner. I think, yes, I do agree that I think everybody steps down from the position at some point of time. But the fact remains that I think this is a situation in which probably I think he had to resign, particularly when you see the tenure of N. Chandra from 2017 onwards till 2026 now, almost 10 years. I think Tata Group's market cap increased by more than 3 times actually. And the kind of accountability which has come in respective businesses within the group, they have been quite phenomenal. Yes, I do agree that some of the new generation of businesses, new acquisitions rather, not new generation immediately, but new acquisitions probably I think haven't worked well, particularly Air India has been a big concern as we understand. And this kind of situation probably I think results into a sort of a unfortunate departure for the person I think who otherwise performed very well. So that's a little sad feeling from the capital market point of view, investor point of view. But on the other side, I think then you also have the opportunity as far as I think the group is concerned, because the group is quite strong with about 25 lakh crore market cap. I think if the right kind of person taking the leadership could possibly take up this activity to the next level in next 10 years. So let's hope and see how exactly it turns out to be. But as of now, a little sad thing that one can experience at this point of time.
From the perspective of an investor potentially in the group, how should you view this development, right? Because for most of the entities, they were not really under question. You pointed out the Air India issue, and barring that and maybe a few other niggles here and there, for the listed entities, there haven't been too many issues strategically, have there?
In fact, I think the listed entities have actually, given a good amount of performance. You look at how the turnaround has taken place in respective companies, like, for example, even Trent, Tata Motors, even for that matter, Tata Consumers. I find that majority of the companies have seen the good amount of turnaround in the business, and probably they've become much more profitable, even Indian Hotel for that matter. Kind of business model that they have been able to successfully navigate through, asset-light model on which they are working today. I believe that good amount of clarity has been brought in by the professional manager, and that's where probably I believe that the contribution cannot be undermined. Yes, TCS has been little bit of a mismark as far as the IT business is concerned. But I guess they took the corrective course, and probably they become from asset light to asset investments, in the data center. But otherwise, by and large, these businesses which he undertook as a chairman, probably have all performed well with a good turnaround into them.
Yeah. Devendra, do stay with us, because I'd like to get your perspective on a couple more things. From a legal perspective, I'm joined by Tushar Cooper, who's senior advocate. He's on the phone line. Mr. Cooper, just your perspective on why this might have come to pass. This is, of course, ahead of that critical vote on the 18th of August, when his reappointment was going to be discussed and voted on. But why resign ahead of time when his term was set to end next year in February?
Possibly, he must have anticipated that his tenure will not be renewed, and if his tenure is not renewed as a director, then obviously he can't continue as the chairman of Tata Sons. So the question is, he must be anticipating that at the AGM, which is scheduled on the 18th, his term as a director would have come to an end, which would have meant that his term as a chairman in any event would have ceased. So possibly that's the reason why he has tendered his resignation now.
Mr. Cooper, as somebody that watches the group very closely and has probably studied it over the course of the last several years, starting from 2016-17, when there was this entire turmoil with the group, and then the steadying of the ship, and then more recently some of the conversations that have come to light, or some of the murmurs that have come to light with regard to disagreements. Why has this come to pass now, in your opinion, as an observer of the group?
Well, obviously there are policy differences between the trust personnel and the trustees with the manner in which the Tata Sons is being run, or at least with a section of the trustees. Now, this has been simmering for quite some time, and presumably with Chandra's resignation, there will be less friction, and perhaps the group can move forward in a more positive way. This situation, as you rightly pointed out, is not conducive to the healthy growth either of Tata Sons or to the activities which the trust was undertaking. So, I assume, although I don't know the terms of the trust, etc., that the decisions of the trustees generally are taken unanimously. In the view of the lack of unanimity on the continuance of Chandra, it was perhaps felt that they would have to take steps to get Chandra to step down as a director at the meeting of the 18th of August. As to what were the differences, etc., I'm not privy to that. That is someone who from the inside will have to talk about. But obviously there were differences, and those differences are there in the public domain.
Well pointed out. Devendra, so from that perspective, as Mr. Cooper has just pointed out, these differences that have been spoken about, have been reported on, if the group as a whole is to move past that with the appointment of a new chairman, on balance, and nobody is going to take away all of the positive decisions that Mr. Chandra has taken over the course of the last 10 years. But on balance, is this positive?
Well, Air India, Tata Digital and Tata Electronics, I think these three put together have actually been the factors, I think, which have contributed to around 28,000 crore worth of loss as of last financial year. And that's where probably, I think, the challenge or the situation is going to be challenging for anybody who takes over. These are not the assets which are likely to give immediate solution in my viewpoint, because airline is a business where probably a lot of other factors are also dependent. So from that perspective, things are going to be a little bit more challenging as I see it, I think, for whoever is taking over. But yes, I think the investment business has to continue, and probably I think these assets will have to see the turnaround at some point of time. So let's wait and see, I think, who takes over as far as I think this particular position is concerned. The professional management, I think, came in through Mr. Chandra. Definitely, I think, has contributed well in my viewpoint, I think, for all other businesses. In fact, each one of them, Tata Steel, Tata Motors included, I think they've seen a classic turnaround, I think, from the legacy business. I think this is something which we'll have to see how the new generation...
Mr. Choksi, I'm just going to interrupt you there, and apologies for that. I have the statement from N. Chandrasekaran, Chairman Tata Sons. This is breaking right now on NDTV Profit. He says, and I quote, "I have completed 40 years of professional life at the Tata Group. I'm grateful for the immensely satisfying opportunity to contribute to this venerable institution. Leading Tata Sons over the past decade has been a great honor and a profound responsibility." He goes on to say, "My current tenure as the chairman of Tata Sons comes to an end on Feb 20, 2027. Sir Dorabji Tata Trust and Sir Ratan Tata Trust had unanimously resolved and recommended the extension of my next term for a period of 5 years, which was recorded and recommended by the Tata Sons Nomination and Remuneration Committee and the board. Subsequently, the resolution was tabled in the Tata Sons board on Feb 24, 2026. However, the proposal was not carried through because one of the board members did not support it. And in the absence of unanimous support, I chose to defer the decision. It has been 6 months since the board meeting and no resolution has been reached till this date. Tata Sons is a very large institution and there are many strategic projects that are under critical stages of execution. It is not only necessary to have a leader in place to lead the group beyond Feb 2027, but also clarity on leadership is important for employees, investors, partners, and other stakeholders. Under these circumstances, earlier today, I have communicated to the Tata Sons board that I have decided not to offer myself for the reappointment when my term ends on Feb 20th, 2027. I have asked the board to decide on the succession soon to ensure a proper transition. I'm grateful for the support of all stakeholders. With warm regards, Chandra. So this is important. This is important, and I'm just sending this across to the team. We'll get those graphics up for you in just a second. What this is telling us, Alex and viewers, is that this is a decision that N. Chandra has taken because he is right now displaying a moral high ground. He's saying that there was no decision unanimously on my extension. That's what happened in the past, and without complete support, I would not like to continue. I don't want to be left hanging. It's been 6 months and there is no decision. That's where the crux of it is, if you're asking the question, why now? I believe we still have Tushar Cooper, senior advocate, on the phone line. Mr. Cooper, if you can hear me, just your first response to some of those lines that we have put out and what I read out, where Mr. Chandra very clearly says that there was no decision made on his extension for a good 6 months. He's referring back to the February meeting. And that is the reason why today he has chosen to step down and not offer, he's not stepping down, he's not offering himself up for reappointment.
I think that the signs were pretty clear to his opposition to continuation as the chairman of Tata Sons, when the concerns voiced by Noel Tata were aired earlier. And I think Noel has been quite sort of open about the reasons for his opposition. Now, I take on board your the point which was raised by the other gentleman, that yes, under Chandra, the group has moved forward, the group has improved its performance, etc. But of course, Chandra has been at the helm, and of course, credit for that must necessarily also go to Chandra. But it could also be market circumstances, the other personnel in the company who have driven its growth, etc. For whatever reasons, Mr. Tata had his reservations. And obviously, there was a split and a schism between Mr. Tata on the one hand and Chandra on the other. The Tata Trust are the ultimate major shareholders, majority shareholders, and would therefore be entitled to sort of dictate as to how the company should be run. In fact, that was the issue which also caused friction between Cyrus Mistry originally with Ratan Tata and the Tata Trust. So it's not something which is completely unique to this situation to have this divergence of views. And ultimately, Chandra had to bow to the will of what the trust ultimately wanted.
You know, in terms of what this gesture implies, that if there is no unanimity in choosing the next leader or the extension of the current leader, then there is no point continuing. Does that also speak to how the Tata Group has been run? And now, in your view, what would be the next steps that the board will take?
I'm not 100% clear, but I think, because I recall reading somewhere that the decisions of the Tata Sons requires the consent or cannot have a negative veto by a majority of the nominee trustees from the Tata Trust on the board of Tata Sons. Now, if that be so, it would depend on what view the Tata Sons, the Tata Trust nominee directors would take on the board of Tata Sons. Now, I'm not quite clear of the composition of the Tata Sons board, and I'm not sure. Noel Tata definitely is there on the board of Tata Sons, and absent his sort of like agreeing to various decisions, obviously the Tata Sons could not make such decisions absent or in the face of his veto. Now, I'm again not clear as to what the provisions under the trustees are, whether both the trusts require to act unanimously, whether it is a majority comprising of the representatives of both trusts. These are matters which I'm not privy to, and I can't really therefore opine on what would be the legality of the trusts, whether they need to take a majority decision, whether they have to take a unanimous decision. These are matters which I can't really opine on.
No, please stay on with us, Mr. Cooper. I'd request you to just stay on with us through this coverage and give us your views. Sohail Nathani also with us. He's managing partner, economic laws practice. Mr. Nathani, thank you for joining in as we're trying to decode this very large story. You've heard the statement that N. Chandra has put out, and he talks very clearly about all of this precipitating in February this year, and that it has been 6 months since no decision has been taken on his extension. It is in that context that he has chosen not to offer himself up for reappointment. What do you make of that statement?
So, one, he's not resigned. He is not extending his term. He has 2 terms, one running through Feb 2027. The second point here is that you don't need unanimity to appoint anybody as a chairman. You need majority under the law. But the fact of the matter is Mr. Chandra has taken this position, and to me, that reflects the culture of the group. First, the trusts are shareholders, so they can vote their shares the way they want. Typically, shares will be voted based on the majority of the view. However, Mr. Chandra, keeping in mind the culture of the group, has said, I want a unanimous decision. I think it's a very good position to take, both for the companies and the trusts, that there should be unanimity. I don't see any problem in this situation. I think it's a great transition, because this is a transition that will happen in due course, and it should. As he said, he spent 40 years at the company, 10 years as chairman, seen the company through some very turbulent times, leaves a
very positive legacy, which will, of course, only time will tell about the new bets. But I think it's a good transition and in everybody's interest.
Our research team has quickly pulled up all of the things that have happened under N. Chandra's tenure, and it's nearly 20 years. But his biggest achievement, I suppose, would be the shift into new age businesses, the whole adoption of Air India and what happened there, semiconductors, electronics manufacturing, scaling the EV ecosystem, building digital businesses, AI technology focus. And I suppose TCS is the jewel in the crown, if you really look at Mr. N. Chandrasekharan's legacy in this group. And we should pull up the TCS stock price right now as well. That really is at the crux of it. Mr. Nathani, in terms of finding the next leader, how crucial does that also become? Because the point that N. Chandra is making in his letter is that the plans that this group has requires stability and clarity. Someone needs to take it forward. This is not something that happens in a few months. It's over years, sometimes over decades. What would that process typically in a corporate this size look like of finding a successor? Or would that hunt possibly have already begun?
I think that hunt is constantly there. Any good leader looks at succession. However, this is a conglomerate, a behemoth with wide range of businesses, and it will be challenging finding a good successor. But listen, it's been done before. It happened. It transitioned from the family. It transitioned out of the family. It transitioned once again out of the family. So I'm sure the Tata Group is well up to it, and there are many people who will step up and do as fine a job as anyone else. And Mr. Chandra has reinvented the group. I break his tenure into two parts. The first part is the what I would call the fixing stage of the problems that were in the Tata Group, and two is the reinvention of the Tata Group. He's done a great job in the first, and the jury's out on the second, and time will tell on how his new bets work out. But I think, he's done a phenomenal job, and we need to appreciate that the transition is also smooth, and he's been very transparent with his reasons. And I think all these need to be cheered because it is unusual in the context of Indian corporates. He's gone out making a very clear statement, and he needs to be respected for that.
Okay, Mr. Cooper, just that point on how to make this a seamless transition, because when you look at the entire group, it's more than just one company. It's a force multiplier for the Indian GDP as well. Would that transition or succession hunt have already been on? Do you see an inbuilt succession line very clearly within the Tata Group? Would this have come as a shock, perhaps, to the board?
This differences between Chandra and the trust has been simmering for quite some time. As to what would have been the resolution of this of these differences, I don't even think Chandra really would have figured out earlier. I don't think that the trust would have been able to determine earlier. So I don't think that there is some succession plan which has already been determined by the trust or by the board of Tata Sons also. I assume that the trustees have some idea as to who they would like to sort of push in place of Chandra. But that time will tell as to whether and how soon they would make that decision, whether there would be a search committee set up as in the past, or whether the trust would achieve reasonable unanimity in a shorter period of time to nominate a successor.
Okay. What is the possibility, though, Mr. Cooper, of somebody from within the group being identified? Because this has happened multiple times in the past as well. And it was one of the big talking points when Mr. Chandra took over in 2017.
I think it is more likely that someone from within the group would assume charge, and presumably that would be someone in whom Mr. Tata reposes faith and confidence.
Mr. Nathani, do you want to weigh in on that? Obviously, at this point, identifying who could potentially come through would be conjecture. But any thoughts on that?
Having sat on several boards, I can't believe that a company like Tata's, without Mr. Chandra's news of today, would not be grooming successors. Culturally, it would seem that Tata would be better suited with an internal candidate, but that cannot be a limitation for a company of this stature. It's a global behemoth, and I'm sure there will be enough of steps and processes and committees who will find the ideal successor. Look, he's had 2 terms, he served them well, and yes, it is important that you have the trust of the shareholders. I'm not saying that he didn't have it, but perhaps he wanted unanimity, which he himself said was not there, and he has taken a call. And whether you will be able to find a successor by unanimity or not, I'm not so sure, but I'm sure this is an ongoing process, and he's given ample time to the companies to find a successor. So I think it will all work out well. I have a lot of faith in institutions,
and so do hosts of investors. But Mr. Nathani, at this point, questions obviously raised about certain decisions that Mr. Chandra has made in the past. But the tendency is to focus on the one man who leads the board. Is there a culpability that has to be taken on board for certain decisions that have been made that have not necessarily gone right by the board as a whole?
Look, the jury's still out on this. There are a lot of future big bets. The wealth of the Tata Group has increased substantially during his tenure. Arguably, the jury's out on Air India. Airlines is a very tough business, not only in India, but globally. And eventually, we will see how these work out. Perhaps we'll be better judges through the lens of history rather than today. So I'm not willing to get down the culpability route. I don't think it's warranted at this stage because they're all works in progress. These are not short bets. These are very, very long-term bets.
I just want to take a second to go over the entire statement once again that has come from N. Chandra and the important bits of it, because he goes back to the events of February 24, 2026, where he says, my current tenure, which will come to an end on February 20th, 2027, was unanimous and had seen an extension for 5 years, which was recorded and recommended. Subsequently, the resolution was tabled in the Tata Sons board on Feb 24, 2026. Now, remember, in the ordinary scheme of things, this Feb 24th meeting to ratify that nomination would have been business as usual, more regulatory and routine more than anything else. But he does go on and mention, however, the proposal was not carried through because one of the board members did not support it, and in the absence of unanimous support, I chose to defer the decision. It has been 6 months since the board meeting and no resolution has been reached till date. Tata Sons is a very large institution and there are many strategic projects that are under critical stages of execution. It is not only necessary to have a leader in place to lead the group beyond Feb 2027, but also clarity on leadership is important for employees, investors, partners and other stakeholders. Under these circumstances, I have decided not to offer myself for reappointment. It's a lack of clarity of future which seems to have led to this decision and precipitated this situation, Mr. Nathani. So I pose that question again. Surely the board would have seen this coming one way or the other, especially since there was another important meeting in just a few days from now.
So let me just take you back to the law. There is no requirement of unanimity for any appointment. Okay.
Yes.
It may be good to have, but it's not a legal requirement. The NRC recommended him. It went to the full board. There were some reservations as he has himself expressed. So he delayed the vote and it has not been resolved. So he has done what any person would do in the best interest of the company, which is, look, let's get some clarity. There's a lot of important things going on, lots of stakeholders, new projects, business partners. So let's get clarity and move on. So, I think this is a succession that we all need to learn from, not only Tata's, but certainly, in several large business houses in the country where you have a professional, he's taken a position. He's looking for unanimity, even though it is not required. And it's also very revealing about the culture of the Tata organization, that people want to be supported with unanimous decisions rather than, say, oh, so what, I'll push through because I am recommended by a majority of the people. I think it's a great corporate lesson in culture, not in the law. And, let's see how this plays out fully.
So Nathani, just on the point of the listed entities, because ultimately a lot of retail investors are invested in this space, in the space as well. From the perspective of a shareholder in the listed entities, how much of a bearing will this have? Because let's face it, each of these companies were taking decisions that were individually good for them per se. And maybe the overarching framework or direction was provided by the group, but a Titan was making certain acquisitions or deciding to venture into certain businesses based on what was good for Titan. Likewise for Tata Motors, likewise for TCS.
That's the law. Every board of directors, every management will act in the best interest of the company. You neglect to mention Indian Hotels. Indian Hotels has been such a great success. And although it is good to have a group chairman, eventually every board will act in the best interests of their own company. And each of the Tata companies has delivered on several fronts. And I think, that's a tribute to the group, that there is a group chairman and then there is a lot of autonomy at operating levels. And that's what has built shareholder value. And that's why shareholders have value. Look, you're putting up the share prices of the Tata companies, and I don't see any tumble in the share price or panic or anything else, because this is a situation of succession planning, and many more Indian companies need to learn from this, and this is resilient succession planning. There are several people who are transitioning and have said so in advance, and I think that's the way to go, and that's the future.
That is indeed the future. The one stock, and since you mentioned, Mr. Nathani, the stock reactions, the one stock that seems to have taken a bit of a tumble, and I wonder if it's primarily on account of the association that Mr. Chandra had with that specific company in the past, is TCS. But even there, one would argue that he's been separated from the decision making for quite a while, hasn't he?
Absolutely. And he's had a very clean succession planning over there. And we need to give both him and the group great credit for that. The IT sector is facing its headwinds of a different nature, and there will be new leadership to take this up.
Yeah.
So I think the TCS movement may be more sentiment rather than Mr. Chandra. But look, time will tell. And as somebody very wise once told me, the graveyard is full of indispensables. Nobody is indispensable. And I'm not saying that anybody's claiming to be, but always somebody will step up and rise to the occasion.
To that end, and it's a good point, it does not matter whether you're sitting in the corner office or otherwise, or indeed at the table that I am at. Nobody is indispensable. But having said that, Mr. Nathani, the question is about timelines and how quickly this will come to pass, the change. Because one of the points that Mr. Chandra makes in his statement is that he is making his decision now so that the group has enough time to put somebody in place when his term ends, and so that certain decisions are made. And he points to the fact that several businesses have critical decision making to do with execution that are pending on account of a lack of clarity and lack of leadership. So how quickly do you expect the group to move?
So I don't think he said anything about lack of leadership. He said it's desirable to have clarity. And I think, a company like Tata's has moved in the past and will continue to move. And please also recognize that there is a lot of bench strength. So even if you want to have somebody from within the system, I'm sure there are some exceptional people who will rise to the occasion. And I have a lot of faith in institutions, not only Tata's. And I believe that, these transitions will happen. I don't think this is a acrimonious resignation. I think this is a well thought of and well noticed resignation. He says, I'm not seeking re-election. That's fine.
From the statement exactly, Tata Sons is a very large institution and there are many strategic projects that are under critical stages of execution. It is not only necessary to have a leader in place to lead the group beyond Feb 2027, but also clarity on leadership is important for employees, investors, partners, and other stakeholders. That is what I was referring to. Mr. Nathani, do stay with us. We're joined also by Gurmeet Chadda, Managing Partner and CIO of Complete Circle. Gurmeet, you've been a student of this group or an observer of this group, investor in this group for a long, long time. You've obviously been looking at everything that has led us to this point. Is this on balance positive, negative, neutral for the group?
No, it is clearly a loss for Tatas. I think Mr. Chandra is a very accomplished business leader, and especially at a time when AI is disrupting things, his leadership would have come in very handy, in navigating such volatile waters. And I think I'll be not being politically correct. I'm a little disappointed. And I think, if you see his letter in the last paragraph says that for 6 months, there has been no communication, on this, and I think it's a large group, and it deserves a better transition. I agree to the point that they have the bench strength and some very talented people who will come through the ranks internally. They may, I think, and that will get resolved eventually. But I think it is a loss for Tatas. But they will come up. And from a market point of view, the prices are lower. Incremental impact may not be much because there has been a lot of underperformance of Tata Group companies in last couple of years relative to the market, relative to other peers in different sectors, maybe with an exception of one or two. So I think it's negative and it's loss for the group, but they will come up. And eventually, I think I want this resolution of Tata Sons to happen, not just for SP Group, but the fact that it's been now hanging for a while and Tata Sons has been classified as an upper layer NBFC. Some resolution should come. It can't keep hanging like this. And if a large group like SP goes through liquidity issues, they are already rolling over debt at very, very high rates. It can tomorrow become a systemic issue. So I think it's also important to resolve these issues, not only from a Tata Group point of view, but from a larger system point of view.
Tamanna, some insights that you might have?
So I've just been speaking and, this is a very sensitive story, Alex. So not necessarily that everyone wants to comment on it. But one input and one insight that I got that in the Tata Group, the retirement age for executives
65
is 65 and Chandrasekaran would have turned 65 in July of 2028.
Yes.
The extension of the term is of a batch of 5 years.
Yes.
So an extension in 2027 for another 5 years, would that have anyway worked?
Yeah.
I think what has been the turning point is that the lack of clarity on what would happen next.
No, it's an important point, actually. And it was pointed out as well. 63 is his age currently. In fact, Amit Tandon, founder and managing director of IIAS, also joining in. Mr. Tandon, thanks so much for taking the time. And your insight is actually something that is very welcome at this stage, because you represent ultimately the shareholders or you advise shareholders in various entities of the Tata Group. How are you taking this entire scenario as it's played out, culminating in where we stand right now?
Well, good morning. I would say that his resignation is, or his decision not to continue for another term is not entirely unexpected. While it might feel sudden, the signals have been visible for a while in terms of the friction which actually unfortunately played out in the media. And his relationship with Tata Trust, which holds majority control, had become increasingly strained over issues of performance of newer businesses, capital allocation decisions, strategic direction which the group might take. But look, at this time, it's also important to look back at, when he took over in 2017, and if we kind of go back to that period, there were issues with regard to what is happening with Tata Motors and does it have a future. The telecom business, there were issues with regard to the relationship with the Japanese and what are the commitments made and what will happen. And therefore, there were issues with regard to Tata Power. So some of those have been resolved over a period of time, and there was stability. The other thing we need to remember is, given the fact that he had been the CEO of TCS, his focus on financial metrics and financial numbers kind of passed through on the various group companies. So he was very focused in terms of what they're doing. What are the numbers for the quarter? What is the return on capital employed? What are the capital allocation decisions which they're taking? What are the dividend payouts, etc., etc. So that has had an impact. Now, have some of the bets with regard to electronic, the business on the electronic side, that's played out. The bet on the digital, unfortunately, hasn't gone anywhere. Air India, whether, the expectation was that, again, there was no magic wand. While we all might have expected that as soon as Tata's took over, things would sort themselves out. We have to remember that these are complicated businesses, and they will take time to streamline, whether it kind of plays out or whether it turns out to be that, look, this was a bite too big, will have to be seen.
And specifically for the...
My own belief is that, look, the businesses, are strong. So each of the businesses have professional management, they have strong boards. Therefore, it should impact the operational businesses
ask you, Mr.
in short to medium term.
That's exactly what I want to ask you, Mr. Tandon, which is that in several cases, or in the 3 or 4 issues that have been highlighted in the run-up to today, quite a few of them relate to unlisted entities of the group. That's one. 2, while Gurmeet, who we were speaking to not too long back, was talking about the relative underperformance of few of the group entities, that is not necessarily something that you can level at the feet of the Tata Sons board, is it?
No, I think the market has actually reacted a little bit strongly just now, but that's an immediate reaction. At the end of the day, as I mentioned, the boards are strong, the businesses are strong. And look, each of the CEOs is thinking about the business over the short, medium, and long term. So therefore, it's okay. The other thing we need to recognize is that, Mr. Chandrasekhar is around for another 6 months. So there is sufficient time for them to find a successor, for there to be a smooth transition if it is needed. And look, he's a professional. It's not that he wouldn't have thought about the businesses, what needs to be done, etc., etc. Maybe some of them would take a little bit longer than we anticipate. Maybe some of the bets may not play out, but there's every reason to expect that, look, when you've made bets and you've got the group, with the management depth as the Tatas does, they will kind of get a grip on the businesses as they go forward. So I would not unduly worry about it at this stage. I would just wait and watch and see how things pan out over the next few quarters.
Amit, request you to stay on with us. Sriram Subramaniam, MD and founder of InGovern Research, also joining us as we're just, breaking down this very, very large corporate story. Sriram, thank you for giving us your time. Just your primary reaction to the wording of the statement that has come in from N. Chandra. Because this was a work in progress. The decision that he is talking about was a work in progress, the extension, and then, of course, there is the question of retirement age, etc. But it has, in a sense, been preempted, and a decision has been made that I will continue. So technically, he is not resigning. He is stepping down, and he has decided not to offer himself up for reappointment. That debate has now been ended by N. Chandra himself. How do you see these developments?
Good morning. I think that is the positive, if anything, from the entire today's news. The fact that Chandrasekhar will continue till the end of his term, February 2027. The board hopefully will arrive at a successor quite quickly, and there will be smooth transition from Mr. Chandrasekharan to the new successor over that maybe. So I think that is a positive. I don't think there will be any impact on the operating companies. Investors of operating companies unduly have, I would think, depressed the share prices today, reacted as a knee-jerk reaction. Each of the operating companies have their own boards, their own strong management teams. So I don't think there is a need for investors of listed companies to worry about the transition at Tata Sons itself.
Gurmeet, back on the line. Gurmeet, the question that I wanted to ask you is for existing shareholders of listed Tata companies, what decision making should be done based on today's announcement? That's one. And you were talking about the underperformance of certain group entities. How much of that is based on the leadership of the overall group?
No, I think it's not much to do with the overall group. Whether it is, for example, TCS, I think the entire IT services sector has been under pressure. I think one place where I think there is some opportunity actually, and not being negative, is Tata Motors passenger vehicle. I think the share has lost a lot of, eroded a lot of shareholder wealth. And I think things are now gradually looking, at least on the domestic side, coming back. I think the Range Rover portfolio probably will take a little more time as global markets continue to be volatile. I think that's one stock which merits to have a look from a risk reward point of view. The other one which has been pretty steady, Tata Consumer, not really impacted much by it's doing quite well, and also has nicely consolidated in last 2 years. Numbers were pretty good in Q1 too. And I would look at what eventually happens to Tata Sons. I think that's the key monitorable for me, and it will have an impact on other companies, especially like Tata Chemicals, where there could be some value unlocking. And also overall, for the market with SV Group getting some kind of a relief, which I said is now really rolling over debt at very high rates, as far as my understanding goes in the market. So it's good if that issue gets resolved, on priority, and it will have a bit of a positive ripple effect, across other group companies.
You're, of course, referring to the fact that Tata Sons remains in that upper layer NBFC category and would require listing. Of course, their request to the Reserve Bank of India is still under consideration, and so therefore final decision is waited. But gentlemen, on that note, thank you so much for joining in and for sharing your views. This remains our top story, so we're going to be tracking it over the course of the remainder of today's market day. Do stay tuned with us, and we'll talk about the implications of this large announcement, momentous announcement by N. Chandra, and what it means for the Tata Group and you potentially as an investor in the group. Stay tuned.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अंबा शक्ति प्लांट की वर्ल्ड रेनाउंड टेक्नोलॉजी देती है स्टील को ज्यादा ताकत हर बार। अंबा शक्ति SDTMT।
कायर हम नहीं जो पीठ पीछे वार करे,
शेर को भी जगा कर शिकार करते हैं।
आप सिंदूर के समय की जो सिचुएशंस थी, क्या हुआ था उस टाइम यहाँ पर?
हमारे सारे स्ट्राइक्स प्रिसाइज, मेजर्ड और एनिमी के टेररिस्ट कैंप्स पर थे।
पुशअप चैलेंज किया जाए 28, 29, 30।
तंबी कैसे? टाइगर कैसे?
Celebrating excellence across journalism and innovation, NDTV steals the spotlight at the 12th BCS Ratna Awards 2025-26. Best English News Channel of the Year, NDTV 24/7. Best News App of the Year, NDTV. Best Election Coverage of the Year, West Bengal Election Coverage. Best Podcast Show of the Year, NDTV Control All Defense. Best Primetime Anchor of the Year, Syed Suhail. Best Female Anchor of the Year, Vasudha Venugopal. Best On-Ground Coverage of the Year, Operation Sindoor Coverage. NDTV, the network of impact.
Buy now, sell immediately.
Hold it, boss.
Buy now, sell.
Hold.
Buy, sell immediately.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
Lackluster day on Bazaar Street. Nifty trades near day's low below the 24,300 mark. Broader markets mirror as well as fare better marginally, while the public sector banks lead with gains. Tech and realty under pressure today. The big news for today: N. Chandrasekhar has resigned as Tata Sons chairman and will not seek reappointment. His term was due to end in February of 2027. Chandra took charge in 2017 after leading TCS as MD and CEO previously. Godrej Consumer under pressure after appointing Asif Malwari as CEO and Managing Director for a 5-year term from August 12th after Sudhir Sitapati resigned just months after being reappointed to the role, and the firm appointed Vishal Kedia as the interim CFO. Bata India and Finolex Cables are in focus after strong Q1 numbers. Bata's profit rose 23% with a dividend of 25 rupees announced, while Finolex posted a 53% jump in profits, revenue crossing over 2,000 odd crores and EBITDA surging 79%. Senco Gold shares slumped over 8% after Q1 results. The revenue has surged 67%, but the profit fell by 3% in this particular quarter, while the EBITDA margins contracted to 7% from 10% earlier. Good afternoon. My name is Puneet Zaveri. You're watching Markets at 12. This is a show where you get all key perspectives as well as the important stories that we're tracking today as well. But the bigger story today, N. Chandra has, of course, resigned and stepped down as Tata Sons chairman. Alex is joining us to give us more perspective about this. Alex, over to you.
Well, it's a significant development for the Tata Group as a whole, and this is something that some might have argued has been brewing for some time. And N. Chandra, as Puneet just pointed out to you, has stepped down as chairman of Tata Sons. He put out a statement not too long back to various stakeholders, shareholders included, where he said a few things. And I'm going to read that out for you. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but you'll get a sense of what he has said. He says that he's completed 40 years of professional life at the Tata Group. You know about this, of course. If you've invested in TCS, then you'll know the time that he spent there. He says that he's immensely grateful for the satisfying opportunity that he's had in various leadership positions. He says that the Sir Dorabji Trust and Sir Ratan Tata Trust had unanimously resolved and recommended the extension that would have taken him beyond his current 5-year term, which ends in February of 2027. Now, here's the thing. That extension resolution was tabled in the Tata Sons board on the 24th of February 2026, but there was no unanimous support. In the absence of that unanimous support, he chose to defer that decision. The resolution on extension has not been reached as things stand as of date. Now remember, it's important that this is coming in the context of an AGM that happens on the 18th of this month. What else is he saying? He says that Tata Sons is a very large institution with strategic projects under critical stages of execution, and in that context, it is necessary to have a leader in place to lead the group beyond February of 2027. The clarity on leadership is important for employees, investors, partners, and other stakeholders. And so, from that perspective, he has decided not to seek a reappointment when his term ends on the 20th of 2027. So, all of this puts into context the decision that N. Chandra has made. From his perspective, he's doing it for the betterment of the group, giving them enough time to find a successor, someone to lead the group at a time when a lot of key projects are at very critical stages of execution. Now, important for you to pay attention to some of the details here, because N. Chandra is 63 years old as things stand right now, and usually for the Tata Group, you have 65 as the threshold till which a chairperson serves in office. And so if N. Chandra was to serve another term, it would have to be on the basis of a special resolution or a special extension that was to be given to him, in which case he would have served till either 68 or 69. Now, the other thing that you need to pay attention to is the stock reaction. In quite a few of these stocks you're seeing now trading at the low point of the day. TCS is actually the stock that has borne the biggest brunt of selling. A few issues that you need to bear in mind that are hanging fire at this moment, and that has to do, one, with Tata Sons and the fact that it remains as an upper layer NBFC, and based on the rules of the Reserve Bank of India, will therefore have to be listed. Of course, at this juncture, we know that there is still a request pending with the Reserve Bank of India that will remove the requirement for such a listing. Until such time as that decision is taken, there is no timeline within which they will have to be listed. Some context as well for you to understand. N. Chandra took over as chairperson of Tata Sons way back in 2017. Some of you may not remember this, but for those who were tracking the group at the time, you will know that there was quite a bit of turmoil that was taking place at that time with the exit of Cyrus Mistry, who was till then serving as chairman of the group. And it was an acrimonious separation by Cyrus Mistry at the time because of not the best relationship with Ratan Tata. And so the coming in of N. Chandra steadied the ship. Several decisions were taken over the course of the next 9 years, some of them including the entry once again into aviation, the entry into semiconductors, the entry into electronic manufacturing, the scaling of the EV ecosystem, as well as building of the digital businesses and the acceleration of the AI technology focus. All of those have brought us to this point as things stand right now. We've spoken to several representatives of the capital markets as well as certain advisors to large institutions, And they're all saying that while it is not the best thing for the group to see such a storied individual as N. Chandra leaving their fold or not continuing as chairman, it is not something that will have a void for a long period of time. In all probability, even as we speak, there is a conversation ongoing as to who will fill the shoes of N. Chandra and who will take the group forward into the next 5 years. So that's the long and short of this story. And of course, Puneet, we'll be tracking this through the day. There will be a special show that you should pay attention to and watch for at 1 p.m. where we talk about not just the implications of what Chandra has done, what he has done over the course of his term as the chairman of the group, but also what listed entities in the Tata Group should look forward to now that this has happened.
Well, most certainly, and thanks so much for that, Alex, and taking us through over the last hour or so of this very big breaking news. Of course, his contributions to TCS are well known. A lot more that has done over the years and over the last 9 years as well. We've spoken to multiple guests on this, but a quick check, and we showed stock down almost 5.3%. Also pull up Tata Motors PV, because those were the two counters that were bearing the brunt today of that particular news flow coming through. Tata Motors PV also down almost 2.9%. But let's continue and getting you some more perspective post-quarterly results that are going through. We are in the fag end of things, but let's welcome in Amit Jain, who is the CMD of Arcade Developers, now joining in post hitting decent set of numbers in this particular quarter. Mr. Jain, very good afternoon to you, sir. Thanks so much for joining in. It's Puneet this side. Your gross development value continues to inch up. It's something that we've seen over the last year or so also build up for you. The question largely being, you gave an update in the last quarter that a few of your projects that were expected to come in, a key one in Velepalla by December. Any update that you can provide through for the more near-term projects? How have the sales through performance and the pre-sales for those going in? Is this as per your target?
Yeah, we've launched a project in Santa Cruz, Arcade Sapphire, last quarter. And we are in the process of launching 2 more projects this financial year. One project is in Malad. That's a redevelopment project with a projected sales top line of around 800 crore. And another project is in Thane with a projected top line of 2,000 crore, which we are proposing to launch in the last quarter of this financial year.
Mr. Jain, I also want to ask you, how has this quarter been? Because you mentioned about the new projects that have come through, but this was a very volatile quarter as well. With geopolitical crisis, you saw that some impact in quarter 4 at the very fag end in the month of March. But did you see any impact in this particular quarter, any kind of buyer fatigue or behavior? Because we've also seen that the pre-sales numbers actually held up for most companies. But is there something that you've seen on the ground in this particular quarter?
Yeah, there is an adverse impact on the sales and the construction velocity also because of the geopolitical crisis. There was shortage of manpower, there is shortage of raw material as well. Industries were not getting energy supplies, gas supplies, because of which the production was down and the supply of raw material was down. Laborers were going back to their native because they were not finding LPG, and all of it did hamper the construction a bit and eventually the sales also. But in spite of that, we've a pre-sales which is 9% more than the quarter-on-quarter last year.
And is that the reason, Mr. Jain, that you've seen revenues actually come down in this quarter as well? Because has there been a timing gap?
That is one of the reasons because of which the construction did take a hit, and effectively the sales also did take a hit.
Also, if you can provide some perspective on your collections as well, because we've seen that in this particular quarter there has been a slight dip on that front too. Anything that you can provide us, if that's specific to any particular project, or is that similar to the reason that you pointed out in this particular quarter?
Because of the construction progress delay, the collections were hit marginally, not substantially. We have kind of like consistent collection. Marginally they are down.
And just one key question coming through on what we've seen, on your financial performance as well. Now, compared to FY23, of course, which was a big year for you, you're up almost 4x in terms of revenues at 800 crores for FY26. Last couple of years, you've been in this range of 6 to 800 crores. Now, with the multiple key projects coming through, should we see a more larger impact on terms of revenue growth in FY28?
Yeah.
What can be the expectations from this year?
So 27 and 28, we are looking at a top line like a revenue of 1200 to 2000 crore range. So there will be a significant jump in the revenues in the coming 2 years because of new launches and bigger project size. The scale of the projects that are coming up is going to be far bigger than what it is currently.
So when you mentioned that from 1200 to 2000 odd crores, I'm guessing that for this year, this would be the minimum revenue threshold, right? Around 1200 odd crores that you would be targeting. So is that growth more back-ended?
We can call it pre-sales in that range. The revenue will be realized as and when the project progresses, but pre-sales in the range of 1200 to 2000 crore in the coming 2 years.
Got it. So you're mentioning that your pre-sales will be roughly between 1200 to 2000 odd crores. But that revenue, so my question, sir, was more on the revenue aspect as well, because we have seen that progression of pre-sales over the last couple of years, but has stagnated in the 6 to 800 crores in revenues in the last 3 years. So for this year, can we expect 1200 crores revenue?
We can expect a 4-digit, I would say, a transition from 3-digit to 4-digit.
4-digit, okay, just crossing the 1000 crore mark. Got it.
Yeah. Well, so revenue will always follow the pre-sales. Construction will follow the pre-sales.
Got it. Well, Mr. Jain, thanks so much for joining in, giving us your perspective about Arcade as well as what's to look forward to. So definitely, a quarter which was marred by geopolitical crisis. We've seen that in the real estate space as well, but management optimistic on what they are seeing in terms of pre-sales over the next 12 to 24 months. But let's continue with what we've seen. Let's pull up specialty restaurants and see what that stock is doing as well. Because we saw a decent set of numbers come through for the company, and to talk more about it, Avik Chatterjee, the CEO, is now joining in. Mr. Chatterjee, very good afternoon to you, sir. It's Puneet this side. Thanks so much for joining in. My first question largely being that your growth verticals is what we are something that you've spoken about in the past, the new restaurants that are coming through as well. How have they performed in this particular quarter, and what is the expectation that you have from the newer business for this year?
Sure. Thanks, Puneet. So we've had a great quarter. We're very pleased to announce the results for the first quarter of the year, and we're looking forward to better results, of course, and the similar trends following up. We've made a new strategy to focus on key brands for growth drivers. So we're going to be focusing on Oriental, Italian, and QSR as 3 functional growth engines for the company. As you know, Oriental has our flagship mother brand, Mainland China. We have Asia Kitchen by Mainland China, which is purely a mall format. After that, we have a digital-first brand called Hakka, and we've introduced a new premium segment Oriental brand called Gong. So this being our category 1 for driving growth. After this, we have our Italian segment and category where we have our brand called Siciliana. We've already done 4 of them this year. We're going to be adding 3 more restaurants of the same brand to grow the category as well. Alongside that, we have our QSR segment where the company has major focus for the years to come. And this is going to be powered by 2 brands, which is Sweet Bengal, a brand that we have established very well into the Maharashtra region. We'll be taking that forward to more different regions as well. After this, we have our new entry to a burger gourmet space, which is Walter's Burger. We've added 3 stores. We're going to be adding another 10 stores by the end of this financial year. So these have been the key factors to drive growth for us.
Got it. And thanks so much for laying out the strategy across across brands as well. But Mr. Chatterjee, just a question. You have achieved same store sales growth of almost 11% in this particular quarter. Has that largely been led by the top down strategy of Oriental as well as the couple of bigger brands, or are you seeing that pass through with the advancements that you've done in the last 1 to 2 years of some of the brands name that you spoke about? So is this still Oriental led is the question?
Absolutely. So Oriental is actually 50% of the pie. and it continues to grow. So Oriental being the backbone for the company, the new growth engines are obviously hand in hand, helping us grow faster and capturing new markets.
Also, do want to ask you about how are you looking at the revenues for this year, because you've reported a good beat in the first quarter, almost 127 odd crores. When I look at your last 2 to 3 year financial performance, has been at that 350 to 400 crore mark for the year. Could this be a year where you have that substantial growth visible? Is there a possibility of crossing that 500 crore revenue mark for FY27?
We're very, very positive to be crossing that mark. And we're actually on track. In fact, our quarter 3, historically for a restaurant business, is the best quarter, and that is yet to come. So we're very pleased with the Q1 results, and in the times to come, we'll be seeing phenomenal growth, and the company's future looks very bright.
I do want to ask you about how you are looking at the delivery side of things as well. I think current contribution, and correct me if I'm wrong, is close to 29 to 30%. So almost a third of the business now coming from there. Is this dominated by those newer brands that you mentioned, or here as well we are seeing Oriental continuing to have that domination in terms of share? So just specifically from a delivery revenue, how much is your mother brand coming through, or is it the smaller, newer age brands that are having a higher share there?
So the mother brand is the highest in terms of our delivery revenue. And what is very interesting in this space is that while our dine-in continues to grow, the delivery pie and the consumer's sentiment for delivery has been growing generically. For example, a consumer back in the day would be going out for dine-in restaurant and experiences. Today, they're dining out more with 2 different versions and 2 different variables, which is dine-in and delivery. So we are actually reaching out to the consumer more times through dine-in and delivery.
Got it. Well, Mr. Chatterjee, we leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining in, giving us perspective about what the quarter was by. Of course, we'll be hopeful for the 500 crore revenue mark this year, but look forward to our next conversation, sir.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Well, that was, of course, the management of specialty restaurants. Still to watch out for on execution of those new brands as they continue to foray into the new age brands as well. Delivery is a big one to watch out for. But viewers, out of time on this edition of the show. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. A lot more action on the other side.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अंबा शक्ति प्लांट की वर्ल्ड रेनाउंड टेक्नोलॉजी देती है स्टील को ज्यादा ताकत हर बार। अंबा शक्ति SDTMT।
POK के फायरिंग रेंज में खड़े हैं।
Just few inches away is POK.
हो सकता है दुश्मन को पता हो कि सैफ अली खान यहाँ पर खड़े हैं। Is it fire?
Celebrating excellence across journalism and innovation, NDTV steals the spotlight at the 12th BCS Ratna Awards 2025-26. Best English News Channel of the Year, NDTV 24/7. Best News App of the Year, NDTV. Best Election Coverage of the Year, West Bengal Election Coverage. Best Podcast Show of the Year, NDTV Control All Defense. Best Primetime Anchor of the Year, Syed Suhail. Best Female Anchor of the Year, Vasudha Venugopal. Best On-Ground Coverage of the Year, Operation Sindoor Coverage. NDTV, the network of impact.
Buy now. Sell immediately.
Hold it, boss.
Buy now. Sell.
Hold.
Buy. Sell immediately.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
Move sets the day, and in markets, being early is the edge. The edge begins the night before.
Before India wakes up, the newsroom is already buzzing because the market rewards those who are prepared.
That's where we come in, tracking momentum and where the markets could move next.
I decode the global pulse, shaping the market mood.
I bring insights that help you make decisions that matter.
Insight by insight, call by call. That's how we give you a head start to the day's trade.
So get ready with us every morning before the opening bell on India Market Open.
They say morning shows the day. Markets often have other plans. By midday, the story can be very different. That's when the right insights helps you rethink the day. Trades, trends, the moves that matter. Join me, Nisha Poddar, for Markets at 12, your edge for every move.
Buy, sell, hold.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Hello and welcome to NDTV Profit. You're watching trending stocks from the NDTV Profit Suzlon studio. I'm Hira Datya, and with me is Sharad Dubey, who's standing at the market pit. Sharad, a very interesting day of trade. You know, at one point in time when we were thinking that probably the markets will be slightly muted like they've been on Monday and Tuesday, you have a big breaking that has already come in with regards to where N. Chandra goes, where he has stepped down and he is not seeking reappointment, and this is after his term ends, which ends in February 2027. Now the question over here is, what is that succession plan actually going to look like? the extension proposal has been tabled before the board as well. And N. Chandra has said in his statement that the proposal wasn't carried through as one member didn't support the reappointment. So interesting comments that are coming in from N. Chandra, or from the letter that he has written to his shareholders as well. But the key is that he will be stepping down and he is not seeking reappointment as well. And if you see in terms of stocks, TCS down 5.5%, Tata Motors PV is down 3.5%. Interestingly, CV is up 1.2% in trade. Tata Steel, Titan, Tata Power, all of the companies are seeing that little bit of downward pressure. The question is going to be what happens in terms of business, because everyone is of the opinion that to some extent business will be as usual, but in terms of strategy, in terms of key leadership positions, who will fill in is what we want to look at. Interesting data points that we are collecting so far, but what are markets telling you?
All correlated, and you are right. Tata Group stocks are actually weighing down on Nifty also. Pretty interesting, right? We are Nifty, that 24,300 levels that has been breached, and we are at the day's low level if you have a look at it. Nifty Bank, let's see what's happening here. Nifty, we are almost down 200 points, but Nifty Bank, it's not that bad, but yes, there is a correction from the day's high. It's largely flattish when it comes to Nifty Bank trading. But what are the key factors to be watching out for? Of course, Nifty is having a weaker technical setup, and the support range is that 23,800 has been again triggered back, especially 24,100 is on the long run numbers. Nifty Bank, also the support range comes between that 57,000 to 57,500 if we talk about it. Another key important reason is of course the Tata Group of stocks, which would be in focus. Hiral had mentioned earlier what's the key news flow looking like, but the big drags which is starting to come in Nifty, this includes Tata Consumer Product as well. Of course, a little bit of buying coming when it comes to the overall. You could just see these are the key reasons, these are the important Tata Group stocks all falling. You can have a look here. Also, apart from this, we'll be also looking for the realty segment. That's where a little bit of buying is coming. And if you look at it, the Q1 numbers are still on today. Apollo Hospitals comes in, and largely if you talk about it, there is Grasim as well, and US CPI data is also something which you'll be tracking. So these are the important stocks which should be there in your radar.
Thank you so much, Sharad, for that. But we cannot move away from the big story of the day, which is the biggest breaking news, where N. Chandra has gone ahead and stepped down and he is not seeking reappointment. My colleague Nimit Dixit is joining us live from Bombay House. Nimit, good afternoon. Heavy rains over there. I think they've actually stopped right now as we speak. But what are you picking up? Any movements happening there?
No movements here so far, but the talk is the same right now that Mr. Chandrasekharan has decided to step down from the role. He will complete his current term, which goes on till February 20th of 2027. A little bit about what led to the decision. Mr. Chandrasekharan said that the Sir Ratan Tata Trust did approve unanimously his 5-year extension. The Tata Sons remuneration and committee also approved this, but then when it was tabled, it was not taken up for a while. What Mr. Chandrasekharan points to is the fact that one board member did not support it, and what he says is without the unanimous support of the board, he would not like to continue this position in the absence of that unanimous support. Now, why he is stepping down at this point? He says that Tata Sons is a very large institution with many strategic projects. He says that these require execution, and this dispute over transition of leadership and all this confusion will cause a lot of delays in strategic decisions that need to be taken, and those need to be taken soon. So for this, he recommends that the Tata Sons board decide on succession soon, and the earlier the succession decision is taken, that will lead to a smoother transition for the board itself. So that's what we have for you right now. It's raining quite heavily outside Bombay House, and we'll keep you posted on the ongoings here.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Nimit. So that's the live update coming in so far from Nimit. We will keep coming back to him as well to get us anything with regards to he catching up on that front. But very interestingly, if you have to talk about the Tata Group stocks under N. Chandra, now the market cap of the listed Tata Group companies have jumped over 3.53 times as well. And the current market cap actually stands at almost 22.5 lakh crore. That's the size of the group that we're talking about as we speak. In fact, if you talk about the best performing stocks within the group under his tenure, you have Trent, Nelco, Tata Investment, Titan, Tata Consumers as well. And Titan, TCS, Tata Steel and Trent have had the highest market capitalization so far. In fact, the Tata stocks under N. Chandra, let's look at the performance. If we can just have, those graphics playing up on your screens as well. You have Trent, which has gone up almost 1700% under N. Chandra. Nelco has moved up almost 1140%. Tata Investment, 1060, Titan 1020, and Tata Consumer up almost 670%. That's what we are talking about. And talking about Tata Sons' performance as well, just look at the revenue. From a 25,000 number in FY20, it's actually jumped to 42,000 crores. And that's the number that we're talking about. In terms of profitability, look at the jump. 3,000 is where it stood at FY20. In FY25, 26,000 crores is what you've seen, and then moved to 32,000. And from a negative cash of 28,000 crores on the books, they've actually gone to a positive number of 22,000 crores when you talk about their cash positions. And the return on equity, 6%, that was what they were delivering in FY20, gone up to 19.4% in FY26. And this is what we're talking about in terms of a Tata Sons scores. Apart from this, if you have to look at N. Chandra's key positions held as well. In 1987, he joined TCS. If we can just have that one on the screens of, what were his key positions. Then before 2009, he was the CEO and ED. He's continued with TCS till 2017. From there, October 2016 onwards, he was director at Tata Sons, and Feb 2017 onwards, he's been the chairman of Tata Sons and Tata Group as well. And very quickly, we'll go through his key achievements as well. But a quick question. Deven Mehta, IDBI Capital Markets joins in. Deven, welcome to the show. We're a little short on time, but anything that you like from the Tata Group of companies? Because from a fundamental perspective, you have N. Chandra, who's stepping down, who was not seeking reappointment from February 2027 onwards. But on the charts, there is pressure building up in today's session on a majority of the counters. Is there any opportunity to buy?
Definitely, the stocks are really good as far as Tata Group is concerned. I think Titan is one of the counter which is on my radar. The stock has recently moved well, but I think any dip in this particular counter is a good buying opportunity. So Titan is the first pick which I'm liking at these levels. And again, if it dips towards 4,800, then that will be a good buying opportunity. So Titan looks good on charts as well, and the strong support is at 4,600 levels. So again, if it corrects towards 4,800, I think a Titan is good buy for as far as Tata Group is concerned.
Okay, the topic coming in as Titan from Deven from the Tata Group. Thank you so much for joining in. But we'll quickly slip into a short break. On the other side, trending stocks will continue as well with a lot of management conversations. Please stay tuned.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अंबा शक्ति प्लांट की वर्ल्ड रेनाउंड टेक्नोलॉजी देती है स्टील को ज्यादा ताकत हर बार। अंबा शक्ति SDTMT।
POK के फायरिंग रेंज में खड़े हैं।
Just few inches away is POK.
तो हो सकता है दुश्मन को पता हो कि सैफ अली खान यहाँ पर खड़े हैं। Is it fire?
Celebrating excellence across journalism and innovation, NDTV steals the spotlight at the 12th BCS Ratna Awards 2025-26. Best English News Channel of the Year, NDTV 24/7. Best News App of the Year, NDTV. Best Election Coverage of the Year, West Bengal Election Coverage. Best Podcast Show of the Year, NDTV Control All Defense. Best Primetime Anchor of the Year, Syed Suhail. Best Female Anchor of the Year, Vasudha Venugopal. Best On-Ground Coverage of the Year, Operation Sindoor Coverage. NDTV, the network of impact.
Buy now, sell immediately.
Hold it, boss.
Buy now, sell.
Hold.
Buy, sell immediately.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
Move sets the day, and in markets, being early is the edge. The edge begins the night before.
Before India wakes up, the newsroom is already buzzing because the market rewards those who are prepared.
That's where we come in, tracking momentum and where the markets could move next.
I decode the global pulse, shaping the market mood.
I bring insights that help you make decisions that matter.
Insight by insight, call by call. That's how we give you a head start to the day's trade.
So get ready with us every morning before the opening bell on India Market Open.
They say morning shows the day. Markets often have other plans. By midday, the story can be very different. That's when the right insights helps you rethink the day. Trades, trends, the moves that matter. Join me, Nisha Poddar, for Markets at 12, your edge for every move.
Buy, sell, hold.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Your first move sets the day, and in markets, being early is the edge. The edge begins the night before.
Before India wakes up, the newsroom is already buzzing because the market rewards those who are prepared.
That's where we come in, tracking momentum and where the markets could move next.
I decode the global pulse, shaping.
Welcome back to Trending Stocks, and now of course we are focusing on the earnings season, especially Nefro Plus comes in our mind. We are joined in by Prashant Goenka. He's the Group CFO of the company. Hi Prashant, it's always a pleasure to have you. The first question is, of course the company came out with a good set of quarterly numbers, but going ahead, what is the margin guidance looking like, and overall any numbers you would like to share going ahead?
Our current margin profile, EBITDA margin is around 21.9%. We saw 120 basis point improvement. As I mentioned, we are a high growth company. 80% of our growth comes by adding new clinics in our existing geography and also adding a new country every 12 to 18 months. As we add this acquisitions or add this new clinics in existing geography, or as we add new markets, the margins will continue to fluctuate a bit up or a bit down, depending on the growth that comes in. So we are not in a position to give a guidance on the EBITDA margin, but we believe the EBITDA margin will remain in the healthy range as we continue to grow the business.
Right, Prashant, and what about the overall volume and realizations angle, going ahead? If you could just give us some numbers or feel about it.
Yeah, this quarter you will see that we have seen a price increase or revenue per treatment increase of 9.2% year-on-year basis. That is predominantly driven by the international mix. We operate in India at a $22 price point. We operate in Philippines at $110 price point, and we operate in Uzbekistan at around $60 price point. As the international mix changes, our international revenue is currently at 45% compared to 40%, a few quarters back. So as the international revenue mix is shifting and we are getting more revenue from markets with higher price point, the revenue per treatment will continue to inch up at a reasonable level. But most of the price increase will come from the international mix.
Right. That's the view coming as well on the price hike as well. Thanks a lot, Prashant, for giving your time to us at NDTV Profit. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Over to you, Hira.
So much for that. It's an interesting stock that stock does continue to trade slightly under pressure. But moving on, Insecticides India, a weak first quarter is what they reported, and this was impacted by delayed monsoon rains and sluggish sowing activity. To discuss the quarter gone by, Rajesh Agarwal, Managing Director at Insecticides, joins in. Mr. Agarwal, welcome to the show, and always a pleasure to speak to you. Taking cues of how you've exited the first quarter, what is the sense that you're picking up in terms of Q2 as well? Because rainfall has been a concern. Everyone is talking about the El Nino impact. Where does it stand according to you from a business perspective? And what is the impact that you are already putting it into your calculations?
Yes, the sowing season is delayed. So the rains were very, very deficient. So impacting the entire country in the Q1. July was very, very similar, but we have seen a good recovery in the month of August. The reservoir situation is improving. The crop situation is very, very healthy, and there is a good demand across the country for different products. So I believe that we are going to pick up in Q2, and Q2 should be positive. In terms of gross margins, we have made a slight improvement in Q1 by more than 200 basis points. And we slipped in terms of the PAT margins because the overall turnover decreased by about 12%. So that impacted the net PAT margins. I believe that we should make a good recovery in Q2 itself.
Okay, so you're saying a recovery could be expected in terms of Q2. What does that mean in terms of financial year FY27 as a whole? Anything that changes in terms of the expectations?
We were very, very aggressive when we had given this year's planning. We wanted to have a double-digit growth. At this juncture, declaring the complete growth for the full year will be difficult. But I can say that this quarter will be positive, and the other quarters also will try to make them positive. How much growth? A difficult target, but definitely we'll improve on profitability because we have improved our product mix, and we are going to push these products into the market because we are working a lot with the farmer and the retailers, and we are promoting our products and very, very confident that with the good response.
Mr. Agarwal, Mr. Agarwal, so what's the kind of deviation that should be expected realistically, taking the external circumstances into consideration for FY27?
The growth will be single-digit growth actually in terms of the top line. Bottom, yes, there is a chance of a double-digit growth.
Okay, so single-digit growth in terms of top line, double-digit growth in terms of bottom line as well. Apart from that, you've mentioned that the agricultural activity to some extent has picked up. Q2 is looking better than the first quarter as well. So if you have to talk about order inflows, if you have to talk about the distributor offtake, how is that looking like?
Yeah, it got a hit, particularly the herbicides and the granule segment got a hit in the first quarter. Now the things are picking up. There is good demand for insecticide, fungicides. that we can see, and wherever the new crops are coming up, the herbicide demand is also there. So overall things are picking up and there is good demand, and the plants are under pressure to supply the desired B2C requirements.
Okay. Apart from that, if you could help us understand, you're operating across about 130 plus formulations, 20 plus technical products. So which crop segments and molecules are seeing the strongest demand at this point in time? And are those products absolutely margin accretive?
Yes, if we look at today's scenario, then this is the peak season, because monsoons, Kharif monsoons are one season where we have all the crops. At this moment, if I talk about the traction, then there is traction in paddy, cotton, though cotton has come down, maize has come down, but still there is traction, soybeans, pulses, sugarcane, all type of crops. And then the chilies are going to come up in Andhra, which we are very, very hopeful. In the entire south, not only Andhra, Telangana, Karnataka, and some other parts of MP and Maharashtra, we are going to see them. Horticulture, we are very, very confident. So all these crops are going to do good. And as Insecticide India, we are not bound by one crop or two crop or one product or two products. We give the complete solution. So holistic solution of herbicide, insecticide, fungicide for all crops. And whenever the situation changes, we divert our attention towards the what we have and what is the market requirement. So very confident that many products are the part of our focus Maratna and Maratna range, which are in demand today. So we'll be able to maintain our margins, we'll be able to maintain our sales targets also in Q2. This is the confidence coming up with the recent range.
Okay, so Mr. Agarwal, my last question is, for difficult first quarter, second quarter expected to be better than the first quarter. You're saying that FY27, you will be able to see a single-digit revenue growth, double-digit profitability growth. That's a potential. Do you think FY27 as a year will be much, much, much better than what you've reported in the first quarter then?
Yeah, definitely it should be. That is my expectation. Because today, if we look at the plant health, the crop condition is very good. So farmer is happy, the situation is good, and there is demand because of the rains which has happened in the month of August across the country. So I believe that it should be much better than what has happened in the Q1.
All right, so looking forward. Thank you so much, Mr. Agarwal, for joining in. Always a pleasure to speak to you. The stock slightly under pressure, but again, the outlook with regards to the remainder of FY27 seems slightly more positive than what the first quarter has looked like. But completely out of time on this edition of Trending Stocks with Sharad, the team that put the show together, and myself. Lots more lined up on the other side. We'll quickly slip into a short break and we'll have a special broadcast on N. Chandra stepping down. In fact, what's in store from here on as N. Chandra steps down? What is the key, leadership position that everyone is going to watch out for as well? And that's what we're bringing to you from NDTV Profit Suzlon studio on the other side. Please stay tuned for a special broadcast on N. Chandra stepping down.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अंबा शक्ति प्लांट की वर्ल्ड रेनाउंड टेक्नोलॉजी देती है स्टील को ज्यादा ताकत हर बार। अंबा शक्ति SDTMT।
कायर हम नहीं जो पीठ पीछे वार करे, शेर को भी जगा कर शिकार करते हैं।
ऑक्सीजन के समय की जो सिचुएशंस थी, क्या हुआ था उस टाइम यहाँ पर?
हमारे सारे स्ट्राइक्स प्रिसाइज, मेजर्ड और एनिमी के टेररिस्ट कैंप्स पर थे।
पुशअप चैलेंज किया जाए 28, 29, 30।
तंबी कैसे? टाइगर कैसे?
Celebrating excellence across journalism and innovation, NDTV steals the spotlight at the 12th BCS Ratna Awards 2025-26. Best English News Channel of the Year, NDTV 24/7. Best News App of the Year, NDTV. Best Election Coverage of the Year, West Bengal Election Coverage. Best Podcast Show of the Year, NDTV Control All Defense. Best Primetime Anchor of the Year, Syed Suhail. Best Female Anchor of the Year, Vasudha Venugopal. Best On-Ground Coverage of the Year, Operation Sindoor Coverage. NDTV, the network of impact.
Buy now, sell immediately. Hold it, boss. Buy now, sell. Hold. Buy. Sell immediately.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
Move sets the day, and in markets, being early is the edge. The edge begins the night before.
Before India wakes up, the newsroom is already buzzing because the market rewards those who are prepared.
That's where we come in, tracking momentum and where the markets could move next.
I decode the global pulse, shaping the market mood.
I bring insights that help you make decisions that matter.
Insight by insight, call by call. That's how we give you a head start to the day's trade.
So get ready with us every morning before the opening bell on India Market Open.
They say morning shows the day. Markets often have other plans. By midday, the story can be very different. That's when the right insights helps you rethink the day. Trades, trends, the moves that matter. Join me, Nisha Poddar, for Markets at 12, your edge for every move.
Buy, sell, hold.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Your first move sets the day, and in markets, being early is the edge. The edge begins the night before.
Before India wakes up, the newsroom is already buzzing because the market rewards those who are prepared.
That's where we come in, tracking momentum and where the markets could move next.
I decode the global pulse, shaping the market mood.
I bring insights that help you make decisions that matter.
Insight by insight, call by call. That's how we give you a head start to the day's trade.
So get ready with us every morning before the opening bell on India Market Open.
Buy now, sell immediately. Hold it, boss. Buy now, sell. Hold. Buy. Sell immediately.
Welcome to this special program. You're watching NDTV Profit, where what we're attempting to do is break down the events in the letter of today, what it means for the Tata Group, what it means for stocks of the Tata companies, and what it means for corporate India. Neeraj, what a sequence of events.
Yes, indeed. And from a gentleman who, Tamanna, nobody can argue otherwise, turned the principal group, corporate group of the country, Tata Group, from a heritage structure into a future-ready powerhouse, if you will, right? Revenues double, profits treble. I mean, those are numbers, but just what he brought to the Tata stable, being the first non-family, non-Parsi person to be at the helm. I mean, there'll be stories about it written for years come together.
Yeah. So, a 40-year career, clearly, and the contribution cannot be denied. But the fact also is, I would say, Neeraj, in the last couple of years, a lot of the data that you're talking about was looked at, right? Air India. What has happened with Air India? The losses, did it turn around the way that it was supposed to be? TCS, was it at the forefront of AI like it should have been or could have been? Not that I'm putting it all on one person's door, but those were some of the conversations that were beginning to happen. I think what's also important to understand right now is the sequence of events that has led to today's statement. In case you're just tuning in, here's what's happened first up. A statement was issued by N. Chandrasekharan, the sitting chairman of Tata Sons, earlier today, where he spoke about his decision that he would not offer himself up for reappointment in February 2027. And that actually becomes crucial. In that statement, if you look at it, and again, Neeraj, not to take away at all from the legacy that you talked about, he is referring to the events of February this year, when after, say, 3 layers of agreement on his extension, there was a hiccup at one meeting.
Yeah, I mean, and it had to be, Tamanna, one can argue it had to be something like this which would bring about a decision like this. Otherwise, in some sense, glittering career, because while all of this has happened, right, which is the question marks around TCS growth and a few others in Air India, there is also newer pathways that these guys have gone into. So it had to be an event like this, right? Semiconductor, gigafactories, etc. It had to be an event of this nature for the resignation to come, or the stepping down to happen.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a second to take you through what the key portion is of that entire letter, and you're going to be constantly seeing it on your screens. But before we get our lineup of people who really understand the Tata Group to speak on it, here is the key portion where he says, my current tenure as the chairman of Tata Sons comes to an end on February 20th, 2027. Sir Dorabji Tata Trust, Sir Ratan Tata Trust had unanimously resolved and recommended the extension of my next term for a period of 5 years, which was recorded and recommended by the Tata Sons Nomination and Remuneration Committee. Subsequently, the resolution was tabled in the Tata Sons board on Feb 24, 2026. However, the proposal was not carried through because one of the board members did not support it, and in the absence of unanimous support, I chose to defer the decision. It has been 6 months since that board meeting. No resolution has been reached till date. Tata Sons is very large and there are many strategic projects under critical stages. It's not only necessary to have a leader in place to lead the group beyond Feb 2027, but also clarity on leadership is important for employees, investors, partners, and other stakeholders. So that really was the crux of it. Instead of waiting for a decision on August 18th when their next AGM is, Chandra said, you know, let's end the debate here.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting decision, a bold one at that. For both sides now, it'll be interesting to see what happens here on, Tamanna. One, Tata Group under whoever the new leader is, and of course, one of the storied leaders of India Inc., what happens in N. Chandra's tenure, or rather, a path going ahead. I think both become very important stories.
No taking away from, you know, the power force that N. Chandra has been and continues to be. Nimit Dixit joins us live from Bombay House. We're covering the story from all angles. And Nimit, what are you picking up at Bombay House this morning?
So it's been a quiet morning so far, Tamanna, here at Bombay House. There's regular board meetings going on. There's a Tata AIG board meeting that just concluded a while ago. The board members have just left, but no sign of the Tata Trust board yet moving in or out. We can confirm that no one's moved in or out yet. But just to speak a little bit about, I think you've already explained it, but the reasons behind why he's stepping down is because of the lack of a unanimous support for extension of his term. The board meeting, of course, the board resolution has been pending for over 6 months, and he says very clearly that one board member did not support it, and you know, he recognizes the fact that there is a need for transition and a smooth and quick transition, and that's why he's sort of decided to not extend his term beyond the February 20th date, 2027.
Nimit, I'm going to come back to you. I just want to quickly go to Mukund Rajan. Now, Mukund Rajan is author of The Brand Custodian, My Years with the Tatas. It's a 2019 book that he wrote, but he is the brand custodian of the Tata Group, and I think very few people would know what the story of the group and the ethos of the group is like. Mukund, I believe that you've stopped your car to speak with us. You're on your way to the mountains. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it.
Most welcome.
Yeah, let me just start by just getting your sense of the sequence of events and the way it has played out.
Well, I have to say I was a little surprised at the speed with which some of these events have taken place in the past few weeks. I think the date that was fixed for the AGM of Tata Sons seems to have been the precipitating factor. And I have to say I was sort of caught completely off guard. I just landed at an airport this morning, and I saw the news about Chandrasekharan putting in his resignation. So it's come as quite a surprise. I'm not sure that the group also has been entirely prepared for it. And that's, I think, a little unfortunate. And therefore, there is a lot of, I think, expectation the Tata Sons board now and the major shareholder of the Tata Trust will quickly respond to expectations in the markets and from stakeholders about what they're planning to do on this resignation.
Mukund, thanks from mine as well for joining in. What do you reckon is the way ahead now? Because there is a vacuum here, and maybe the vacuum was always there for a while, which prompted Chandra to give the statement that he has. But what's the next port of call according to you?
So first, I think the Tata Sons board has to, I would imagine, formally accept the resignation. There is theoretically the possibility that they may prevail on Chandra to withdraw his resignation, or they may sort of ask him to continue for some time. He himself has offered to stay in his post till the date that he would normally have stepped down in February of next year at the end of his contracted period. So that clarity has to emerge. What is the board doing on this matter? It's not just up to Chandra alone. The board also has to be responsive. And then, of course, the role of the major shareholders, in this case, the Tata Trust, who are 2/3 owners of Tata Sons, they have to also express publicly their point of view on what has happened. I would have hoped that this whole exit would have been done in a fashion that was perhaps with more grace on all sides, and not left to sort of speculation of the kind we are now probably going to indulge in for a little while on what happens next. I think markets hate uncertainty, and therefore it's very important for the board to also announce how they plan to undertake the succession plan for Chandrasekharan. So I think we're all going to wait with bated breath for some of those developments and formal statements from the board of Tata Sons and the Tata Trust.
Just trying to get a sense, because you really understand the inner workings of the group. And like you said, this would have perhaps come as a surprise to many in the board as well. Would a succession plan have already been in place, considering that Chandra would have turned 65 in 2028?
It ought to have been. Any sensible board, particularly vested with the responsibility to manage such a large enterprise, should have been thinking about this for the past at least, I think, a year or more. And I would imagine there are already some possibilities that are in the minds of some of the board members, including, I would imagine, the Tata Trust, There's been certainly some commentary around structures that were being debated between the Tata Sons chairman and the Tata Trust. So I'm sure there would have been names assigned to people who could play a role in taking the fortunes of the group forward. So I don't think they will be wanting for identifying a successor fairly soonish, and there may already be candidates that are high on the list of prospects. And certainly, I don't think Tatas will have a challenge in attracting the finest talent. So I don't think that's going to be an issue either. But they need to announce the way they're going to go about this. Are they going to create a committee? Is that committee going to have a timeline? Or are they already clear and have a potential candidate in waiting, perhaps somebody from within the group already, perhaps one of the managing directors? They need to, I think, explain that quite swiftly. And as I said, the markets hate uncertainty, and the basis on which Chandra has announced his departure, I think it'll be awkward for there to be a long period of time or a hiatus before the group has announced a successor. So I think it's in everyone's interest that there be firm clarity on how quickly this is going to happen.
Mukund, thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us. Really appreciate your time this afternoon. All right, let's welcome in our guests, other guests on the show as well, simply because, remember, this is a combined market cap of the Tata Group, nearly 24 to 25 lakh crores. And I think a vacuum of this nature, if at all, unnerves the street, then it better be put to rest very, very soon. Let's get in our other experts on the show. We've already spoken to Mukund Rajan. Now, we welcome in Abhizair Devanji. He joins in on the show, as well as Mohit Saraf. Gentlemen, both of you, thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us. Really appreciate your time. Abhizair, I'd like to start with you on that premise itself. Markets don't like uncertainty, especially at the helm of one of the premier business groups in the country, large market cap as well. During his tenure, profits have doubled, or rather revenues have doubled, profits have trebled. You reckon it will be smooth sailing after a couple of days of uncertainty if indeed the board moves swiftly, either to assuage the street by saying that Chandra might stay on till the end of his tenure, or to name a successor so that there is clarity?
So for sure, I think we heard Mukul also. I think the Tata Trusts and the board of Tata Sons would certainly be looking out very actively and may already have a short list of candidates that they may be considering, given that their decision on Chandra's extension was deferred since the last board meeting and has been 6 months since. So I'm sure there has been a lot of deliberation. If not, very frankly, we have a headroom till FY27 February. And I'm sure the pipeline will be easily built up in terms of whoever needs to come in. So I don't think succession will be too much of an issue. It'll have to be planned well. There'll be enough talent within the Tatas and outside who would be more than keen to take up an opportunity like this. Now, frankly, kudos to Chandra for the platform he's built. He's built an excellent platform. There have been some failures, but there have been a lot more visionary thinking in terms of where the investments need to go through. And the market cap has held up, as you rightly said, the combined market cap of 25 or lakh crores has grown significantly. So I think the platform is set for getting a good person. Now, for the Tata Group, you know, when the helm changes, so when Ratan Tata came into power from JRD, we remember those days, there was obviously a lot of uncertainty in the markets. The same uncertainty remains today, where there's a turmoil. Whenever there has been a change at the helm of the Tatas, there's been turmoil. I remember at that time, though Ratan Tata was the chairman of Tata Sons, there were individual CEOs who were fiefdoms into themselves. And now we have got to deal with the Tata Sons issue. So ideally, I think the group has had a lot of empowerment to its CEOs. Those CEOs in those empowerments have performed extremely well. And whenever those empowerments change, the level of uncertainty will be there. But I'm sure that the system will make sure that there is an answer to it.
Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sense of what's happened, and we have a fantastic lineup of speakers. Abhizair, of course, Mukund Rajan, Mohit Saraf, all of them weighing in. Mohit, if I can come to you on the manner in which this has played out. This could have happened on August 18th. It could have happened closer to February 2027. a point is being made here with this letter, which has been made public, that I'm choosing to step down or I'm choosing not to offer myself up for reappointment, so that the decision is now taken by me. Is that the message? What is the message we're getting here?
I think, Tamanna, the way you should look at it is he had already made, Chandra has already made his intention clear that he did not wanted a reappointment. At least that part is there, that he's not wanting it. That's number one. Number two, the process of election of the chairman of Tata Son is that every nominee, 1/3 of the directors get nominated on Tata Sons by the trust, and each nominee director has to agree. And what we understand in his letter, that one of the nominee director did not agree to his reappointment. And we've also read in the press that there were two conditions for his reappointment, that the Tata Sons continue to be unlisted and there should be a liquidity event for Shapoorji Group. So I don't know what has played out, but I think what is clear is, one thing was very clear, that Chandra was not looking for reappointment and his term would have ended in February next year. Clearly, I would say that there must be a notice period. Typically, for the senior level people, there would be a 6 to 9 months notice period. And right now, we are closer to that period. So he probably have resigned. That doesn't mean that he disappears tomorrow itself. It's not like probably giving notice as per the terms of his employment letter, which could be 6 to 9 months. So I would say we should not read too much into it. Yes, markets do not appreciate uncertainty, but most companies of Tata Group are governed by the boards of those companies, and they have pretty much a large public shareholding as such. It does bring a lot of level of Chandra's quality direction, which he was giving to the entire group of companies. So obviously, to that extent, there is a little bit of a challenge, but it could be just a temporary issue. Maybe that issue has come out in light of the AGM, which was scheduled a few days later from here. I don't know the internal issue, but again, right now we just got this appointment letter out, and then we have to give some time to Tata Sons and Tata Trust to explain their position.
Right. So I take your point, Mohit, but is this really something which is not such a big deal as you put it? The sense I'm getting from what you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you're saying this is not such a big issue, nothing to see here, let's move along. Of course, in the storied history of the Tata Group, maybe not. But as of here, now, today, looking at Chandra's massive contributions to the group and in the manner which this has played out, surely it leads to some debate and discussion.
Oh, surely. I think it leads to debate and discussion. But I would say the same debate and discussion would have come when he said, which everybody believed, that Chandra will continue for a long time, when he said that he does not want to continue beyond February. So I would say right now, once the person has made his stand clear that he does not want to continue beyond February, and then he feels resigning as per the terms of his employment letter, that could just be a standard thing. I think what could be a little concerning would be that the public disclosure of that letter. Clearly, I think none of us are belittling the contribution, Chandra's contribution to the entire group, I think. But clearly, there is a negative vote of one of the trustee director on Tata Son, and then he cannot be appointed. There could be some play there, which we obviously don't understand. And we can understand that there could be some play. And he had also in his letter said that he was unanimously selected by the two trusts. But having said that, there was also a negative vote. So there could be internal issues as well. But again, I would not read too much, because he had already said that I'm not wanting to continue beyond February. He had already said that.
Yeah.
And 9 months for that. And maybe this could be a process to make sure that the successor is seriously looked at.
Okay, well, August 18 becomes an important AGM outcome as well, if you will. I mean, at least everybody will be looking at it ahead with quite a bit of interest, maybe more than usual. Bazaar, just stay on. We'll come to you because Rahul Bhasin also joins in on this conversation. He's founder and managing partner at Bearing Private Equity. Rahul, great having you. Thanks for joining in. As somebody who's looked at corporate India, fortunes of companies and leaders making those, how do you see this particular episode impacting or not impacting the near term for the Tata Group? In the long term, we know they'll attract talent, things might return back to usual, all of that. But in the near term, while there is a bit of a vacuum, lack of clarity, is it too short a time frame to bother about, or you think otherwise?
Look, I'm 100% sure that, the way the Tata Group culture is, and Mr. Chandrasekhar has been a Tata veteran for 40 years. He will not do anything to disrupt anything, and if whatever is required, I'm sure he will facilitate any transition that is required. So I don't think that there is any, impending crisis in that sort of sense. And I think the key issues, which has probably led to this tension, I think those still need to be dealt with. And, whatever the transition sort of system which is articulated or is delineated for the board and the group, I think the issues are, plain for everyone to see. I think there's a minority shareholder in the Tata Sons ecosystem who I think has financial challenges of their own, and I think they're looking for some kind of liquidity. Whereas I think the Tata Group's stance has always been that they don't want to let Tata Sons go public. And I think there's a bit of conflict which requires leadership and resolution there. I also think that as a group, the Tata Group has been sort of trying to transition into the new ecosystem in the new world. And they've taken several bets. Now, when you take several large bets, some work, some don't. Clearly, the Tata Electronics bet seems to be playing out well. But if you look at the airline bet where, they've, I think, expended almost 55,000 crores since 2022, I think that requires dealing with and sort of addressing as an issue. And I think the other thing is that Tata Neo, where again, I think the group has lost almost 20,000 crores in the last 4 or 5 years. And I think that if you look at the number of bets, the size of the balance sheet, and the fact that their cash cow of the group, which is TCS, has its own set of challenges, I think probably it's because of the total size of the bets relative to the size of the group. I think this kind of friction has cropped up. And I think that when you're starting a new business and you're bleeding money, I think it's imperative for whoever the leader is to carry the different board members and stakeholders along. And I think that probably because of the transition of, the stakeholders from the Ratan Tata sort of regime and to now the Noel Tata regime, I think there's probably things which have fallen between the cracks here.
I think that's as clearly and well put as one could have. Rahul, completely agree with you there. Just want to get a quick view from Bazaar on some of the points that Rahul Bhasin has just made. And again, we've said this from the start, there's no point speculating about what could have gone wrong, etc. Part of it also is how it's happened and then what next. How imperative is it now to ensure that a plan is in place and this is communicated very quickly to all stakeholders?
Oh, extremely. As you said earlier in the show too, nobody likes uncertainty, and I'm sure even the institutional investors who are big investors in Tata today would not like that uncertainty. What is, I guess, the plans are in place at the operating company levels.
Yeah.
As Rahul also mentioned, the key issues are how do they deal with this larger issue of this minority shareholder getting a liquidity issue? That's going to be extremely important to deal with, apart from the operating company issues that are there. Operating company issues, I think, are well governed by good CEOs. I'm sure each of them has a good plan. So that is not what is maybe required. But at the group level, the coordination, to list or not to list, to provide an exit to the minority shareholders, to make sure that the Tata Trust's turmoil ends, so that there is clarity as to how this company is going to be run and how the stewardship of Tata Sons will run. I think those are the big issues which I think Chandra was able to manage well given his legacy. Now, whoever comes in will have to manage it well. The other issue, of course, is Noel Tata, as I said earlier, whenever there's been a shift in the Tata's leadership at the family level, there's always caused turmoil. So those turmoils we have to make sure that they're all controlled. I'm sure there are very other people who may be more ambitious at the group, at the operating company levels, who may have aspirations at the group level. There could be good candidates outside. So I think the whole transition will have to be communicated very quickly so that the market knows who's in charge.
Rahul Bhasin, just coming to that point about the market knowing who's in charge, if you look at it from the perspective of the storied history of the Tata Group, at that point, N. Chandra becoming the Tata Sons chairman was also an outlier, right? The first non-Parsi, non-family member, so to speak. So has that also set sort of a precedent of what could come next?
You know, like I said, because of the very extreme sets of challenges which are there in the group, and I think that these are very normal when you take big bets and you start new businesses. I mean, there's a portfolio outcome, right? Some will work, some won't. But which ones to double down on and which ones not to, I would suspect would be very tough for any newcomer to do. It has to be an insider, is my own surmise. And I think that maybe whether it's Mr. Noel Tata himself or clearly somebody else who's a insider and familiar with a lot of the pluses and minuses and the risks and opportunities of each of these big bets and big challenges, I think it'll have to be someone like that or a group of people of that nature who steady the ship in this period of time. I think that, and like I said earlier, I think that, Chandra being a long-term veteran, he may well himself be a part of the transition team. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're out of time, but very quick roundup and maybe just very quick answers. Mohit sir, starting with you. Do you reckon some of the bets that have been taken in the recent past might see a change under the new helm because some of these haven't paid off? Very quickly, 30 seconds, please.
Anybody can agree yes or no. It's something you not have a comment on.
Well, actually, that's a fair point too. Anybody can say a yes or no, and we don't know how it shapes up. So yeah, that's a nice quip to my answer. But I would still want to know because I think Abizar was making this point, and in fact Rahul was making this point to which Abizar responded that some of the recent bets haven't quite paid off. Maybe the focus areas change. Maybe not all stakeholders were taken on board alongside when some of these businesses are bleeding. So that was the genesis of my question. Abizar, you want to respond to that?
Also, there are some obvious quick fixes, as I said, the airline industry and making sure that TCS innovates. I think will have to be taken on the forefront. And other businesses, I think they are well invested in my opinion. Semiconductors, electronics are well invested. That'll be good.
I'm going to make the question a little more complex for Rahul Bhasin. Neeraj asked, will they be re-looked at? I'm going to ask you, should they be re-looked at?
To my mind, I think there is a budgeting issue because if you have to invest in all of these businesses and deal with the minority shareholder sort of issue, I think that you'll require more capital. So either one or at least one of these has to be sacrificed or more capital has to be raised. And I think that's the call that whoever takes charge will have to make. I mean, either, and the Tata Group has enough credibility if they want to raise more resources, they can. So that's really the choice. I mean, do you say that no, one of these bets was wrong and say, let's get out of this and call it? Or do you say that no, all of these are in transition, they're in the investment phase, they will all work out? Then I think the issue is that, where in the group do I raise capital and how much? And I think, so it's a very solvable problem, but someone needs to deal with it.
Okay, that is the billion-dollar question. Who, when, and how? Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the show as we try and decode what has happened, what it means, and what happens next. Simply because, Neeraj, look at the impact of the Tata Group. And sometimes we look at things only from the lens of shareholders and people who have equity participation, but even in terms of contribution to the economy, it's massive. What happens there is important.
Most certainly, Tamanna. And just, that one point, I tried to figure out if there was any previous record public of him having stated that he doesn't want to continue. There isn't. So
yes, which Mohit Saraf kept talking about.
Yeah,
but no, there isn't. This has happened today.
Yeah, so it is a surprise, and which is what explains why TCS is down 5 and some of the others are down. Hopefully, August 18 gives us some answers, or maybe before that. Let's wait and watch.
Right, that's all the time we have, but all the news and action continues on the other side. Stay with NDTV Profit.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अंबा शक्ति प्लांट की वर्ल्ड रेनाउंड टेक्नोलॉजी देती है स्टील को ज्यादा ताकत हर बार। अंबा शक्ति SDTMT।
कायर हम नहीं जो पीठ पीछे वार करे, शेर को भी जगा कर शिकार करते हैं।
आप सिंदूर के समय की जो सिचुएशंस थी, क्या हुआ था उस टाइम यहाँ पर?
हमारे सारे स्ट्राइक्स प्रिसाइज, मेजर्ड और एनिमी के टेररिस्ट कैंप्स पर थे।
पुशअप चैलेंज किया जाए 28, 29, 30।
तंबी कैसे? टाइगर कैसे?
Celebrating excellence across journalism and innovation, NDTV steals the spotlight at the 12th BCS Ratna Awards 2025-26. Best English News Channel of the Year, NDTV 24/7. Best News App of the Year, NDTV. Best Election Coverage of the Year, West Bengal Election Coverage. Best Podcast Show of the Year, NDTV Control All Defense. Best Primetime Anchor of the Year, Syed Suhail. Best Female Anchor of the Year, Vasudha Venugopal. Best On-Ground Coverage of the Year, Operation Sindoor Coverage. NDTV, the network of impact.
Buy now, sell immediately. Hold it, boss. Buy now, sell. Hold. Buy. Sell immediately.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
Move sets the day, and in markets, being early is the edge. The edge begins the night before.
Before India wakes up, the newsroom is already buzzing because the market rewards those who are prepared.
That's where we come in, tracking momentum and where the markets could move next.
I decode the global pulse, shaping the market mood.
I bring insights that help you make decisions that matter.
Insight by insight, call by call. That's how we give you a head start to the day's trade.
So get ready with us every morning before the opening bell on India Market Open.
They say morning shows the day. Markets often have other plans. By midday, the story can be very different. That's when the right insights helps you rethink the day. Trades, trends, the moves that matter. Join me, Nisha Poddar, for Markets at 12, your edge for every move.
Buy, sell, hold, hold.
Good afternoon, you're watching Small Cap Bazaars on NDTV Profit with me, Somit Sarkar. In the next half an hour, we'll take you through the most important small cap stocks that have been buzzing in trade either on the back of price or volume. Before that, let's look at the market. Now, if you look at the Nifty, it's a second consecutive day of decline, much worse than what we had seen. Yesterday, we are down nearly 178 points in trade today. But the Nifty Bank Index is trying to hold on to the green. And this is largely because of the PSU Bank, because the Nifty PSU Bank Index, that's up nearly 1.6% while the private banking names are down in trade. Now, when it comes to the benchmark again, the fall is largely because of the IT names like TCS, Infosys, HDFC Bank again on the private banking side, and Reliance Industries. Most of the TCS and Titan, couple of the Tata Group companies that have been leading the index down in trade today, contributing around 38 points down in trade. But first, let's go across to the company. Let's go across to Ishank Joshi, the MD and CEO of Mob Avenue. So, firstly, to start off with, international revenue mix was around 21% odd, I believe. What is the target here for FY27, and what would be the key growth markets for the company?
Thanks, Sumit, for having us. Our international revenue, as stated earlier, is rising. We're looking forward while, from the last year basis, it has reached to 20% above, and we're looking forward that this will go between 20-25%. But, today it is rising because we have been setting up our offices in Singapore, in US, in UK, and we continue to put our efforts in international markets.
So what could be the revenue mix by the end of this financial year?
We presently don't give any future guidance, but on a fair basis, we can consider between 20-25% as international mix.
Okay, then directionally, can you give me some idea, because for the last couple of quarters, I'm seeing that your EBITDA margins have been flattish at around 21%. Will it sustain around this level, or there are some further room for expansion here?
So, Sumit, I think, as a company, we have stated that we have a rule of 50, which involves that we will look at 30% growth on the annualized basis and 20% EBITDA margin to maintain. While, in the last quarter, I stated that, we will be between 20 to 21%. We already crossed 21%. And it, as compared to the last quarter, it is 21.2% today also. We feel that, this is a healthy margin. And because we have been investing in technology, which is very critical today in the AI ecosystem, and we would like to maintain that margins.
Okay. And how quickly will Mob Avenue neural engine be deployed across the entire platform stack? If you could give us some details on that front.
I think, we have just launched our updated neural engine. Over the last 3 years, we've been working on our technology, which is first to, put our machine learning stack and now putting up our full neural engine. We started with a couple of our products today, and, over the next 1 year, we're looking forward that we will implement across all our product lines.
Okay, what revenue contribution do you expect from the newly launched picks, say, over the next 12 to 18 months?
It's still early days for us to, start off and giving any guidance out there because it's a newer product for us. Generally for a new product, we plan a 100,000 day journey. So for our first 100 days, things are looking very great for the new product. And now we're planning for the 1,000 days roadmap for us, how will they start contributing to our revenue line as well as our bottom lines.
Okay. And when it comes to direct advertisers versus agency channels, if you could just give us some what proportion of the future growth is expected here from the direct advertisers versus agency?
Great question, Sumit. So, if you see from our business performance over years, we've been very focused towards our direct advertisers because, we feel, that's a great opportunity to work with direct advertisers in the market. But as we kind of scale our, operations in the global markets, our first approach is to work with resellers and agency partners there, and then build up the direct advertisers team in those markets. So, and hence you see, as compared to the last year, while the direct advertisers, have grown, but since we have launched our global operations, and there is a significant revenue coming up from, that in the global markets, the reach on the agency side have increased.
And lastly, sir, are you evaluating any specific acquisition opportunities in AI, ad tech, or international market?
I mean, too early to say that, but we have been growing organically, over the last couple of quarters and last 3 years. We are looking forward, to have our acquisition strategy. We've already built our framework on it. We have been speaking to some of the companies, but it is still early to say that we will able to, acquire in this next 2 quarters or in this year.
Right. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us and giving us the way forward. Let's move on to our fundamental guest here, Raghavendra Kedia, founder of Prosperity Advisors. Sir, you heard the management. What would you recommend your clients, given the numbers that the company has come out with and given the growth prospects?
Good afternoon, Sumit. Looking at the management commentary, we believe it's a wait and watch. If you look at mob revenue, the full year EPS stands at around 3 rupees. And the price of the stock is around 320. So we are looking at a very expensive valuation of around 100 times P multiple to a full year EPS of 3 rupees. And the management has taken control of this company to a reverse merger takeover. So for such a corporate action, we actually wait for at least another year for things to settle, see the promoter stake, and definitely look to EPS to go above 5 rupees. Until then, it's a wait and watch. At current levels, the valuations are very expensive. The growth story in advertising ad tech is good, but we will have a wait and watch approach for mob revenue at current levels of 320.
Okay. The next management on the show is TD Power. Now, if you look at the first quarter numbers, the company has reported its highest ever quarterly revenue and order inflows. There was strong demand that we have seen in the both domestic and the export market. And because of this, the management has also hiked their guidance to 2,600 rupees, the revenue guidance, from 2,400 plus that was given earlier for FY27. To talk more on this, we are joined by Nikhil Kumar, the MD of TD Power. So, firstly, to start off with, the top line guidance has been revised, but when it comes to the EBITDA margin, is that sustainable over the current number, or we could see some more expansion on that front?
No, I think EBITDA margins are going to be stable at around 19% for the rest of the year. There are conflicting pressures. There is also a very dramatic increases in commodity prices. Inflation is also high. So is of course being offset by price increases and productivity improvements and cost reductions from the company side. But more or less, we are giving a conservative guidance 18 to 19%. If things get better, we will inform the market.
And when it comes to revenue visibility, the order book, I believe, is at close to 2,200 crore. How much of this is executable in this financial year?
So we are given a revenue guidance of around 2,600. We've done something like 650 approximately. So around 2,000 of that pending order will be executed in this year. We have the full order book for this year. We have the capacity, and that's the reason why we are fairly confident about giving this revised upward guidance to the market.
Okay. Now, if you look at the Q1 order inflow, that was up nearly 87% on a YOY basis at close to 734 crore rupees. How sustainable is this growth rate on the order inflow front? Can we see similar stuff for the rest of the financial year and for FY28 as well?
Growth rate not, but definitely the value, yes. So we will see a something like a 700 crore plus order inflow every quarter for the next few quarters. And then we have to take it up to 800 crores per quarter. So on a year-on-year basis, of course, it looks very high, but we will be able to, show compared to last year, this year's growth will be something like 40 to 50%. And then, as I said, we have to move to something like 800 crores per quarter from around the Q4 this year, which will then sustain the growth for the next financial year.
Okay. Now, majority part of the order book was from export. So is this a structural change or just a temporary thing?
No, this is something that we have been working on for the past, I could say, a decade or so. And when we first started, our export was around 10 to 15% of sales, and then it moved up to 30, 40%, 60, it stayed around 65, 70 for many years. And in the past 2 years, we have seen this going up to something like 80, 85%. 90 may be a small aberration for this particular quarter. I think sustainable would be 80 to 85.
Right. And what percentage of your current order book is either directly or indirectly related to data center investments?
We don't give that number to the market. We don't give the end-use segmentation. But it's a good proportion of our overall business.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us and giving us the way forward for TD Power. Well, that was the management of TD Power, quite confident on the growth plans going forward, and hence they have increased their revenue guidance as well. Raghavendra, how are you looking at this counter? The stock was up, I believe, was up at one point of time around 15%. Post this run-up, is there further room for any investor here?
So we believe we like the company, and if you just quantify what the management has said, we still think that there is a good headroom in terms of price appreciation. So the stock is up 17% today. We believe it could be a portfolio stock. Every dip, every price correction could be taken as a buying and entry opportunity. We expect a full year EPS of around 30 rupees on TD Power and a moderate to multiple of around 55 times, considering the niche business they are into. So on a 30 rupee EPS, 55p multiple, we reached to a target of 1,700, 1,700, which is still 15% upside in a 12-month horizon. Management commentary is very comforting in terms of data center demand increasing, grid stabilization demand increasing, renewable integration demand increasing, export order increasing. So TD Power would be an investment stock, portfolio stock, buy on dips, and we believe at 1,500 levels also continue to hold.
Okay. Well, let's slip into a short break and we'll be back and cover more small cap stocks on the other side.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
पीओके के फायरिंग रेंज में खड़े हैं
just few inches away is POK.
तो हो सकता है दुश्मन को पता हो कि सैफ अली खान यहाँ पर खड़े हैं Is it fire?
Celebrating excellence across journalism and innovation, NDTV steals the spotlight at the 12th BCS Ratna Awards 2025-26. Best English News Channel of the Year, NDTV 24/7. Best News App of the Year, NDTV. Best Election Coverage of the Year, West Bengal Election Coverage. Best Podcast Show of the Year, NDTV Control All Defense. Best Primetime Anchor of the Year, Syed Suhail. Best Female Anchor of the Year, Vasudha Venugopal. Best On-Ground Coverage of the Year, Operation Sindoor Coverage. NDTV, the network of impact.
Buy now, sell immediately. Hold it, boss. Buy now, sell. Hold. Buy. Sell immediately.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
They say morning shows the day. Markets often have other plans. By midday, the story can be very different. That's when the right insights helps you rethink the day. Trades, trends, the moves that matter. Join me, Nisha Poddar, for Markets at 12, your edge for every move.
Buy, sell, hold.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Your first move sets the day, and in markets, being early is the edge. The edge begins the night before.
Before India wakes up, the newsroom is already buzzing because the market rewards those who are prepared.
That's where we come in, tracking momentum and where.
Welcome back. You're watching Small Cap Buzzers. Let's go across to part to understand what could be the potential reason behind the move in OMDC.
So OMDC has gained a big percentage in trade today, and that is because of the MMDR amendment that has been proposed by the centre, which limits the power of states on taxing minerals. So if you look at the exposure of Orissa mineral, then they have a 213 crore tax liability under the Orissa Development Act, and which they have calculated using a 15% tax rate. Now, if that tax gets eradicated with this new amendment bill, then this equals to more than twice of their FY26 revenue. So this impact will be huge on OMDC, and it will not only reduce the balance sheet risk of the company, but the future mining taxes for OMDC will also come below, and that will directly flow into their bottom line. But this benefit still remains conditional if this bill passes in the parliament, and once that is done, then we can see this clearly reflect in the company's books as well.
Well, let's go across to Varsha as well to understand what could be the potential negative points that have come in Camlin Fine's Q1 numbers.
Well,
Well, it's all about the margins, Somit. Margin pressure was the key negative for this quarter. Margins were impacted by the raw material inflation, freight and logistic costs also surged due to geopolitical disruption, and hence EBITDA margin guidance has been reduced to 10 to 12% versus 12 to 14% of guidance earlier. This cut is driven by elevated input and logistic cost. Q2 but is expected to be better than Q1, and Q3 will return to expected double digit of EBITDA margin. So overall margins were the key disappointment because margins stand at around 1.2% versus 5% last year. So that was a disappointment, and hence you are seeing stock is down almost 12% in trade.
Well, thank you, Varsha, for that detailed note on Camlin Fine. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Small Cap Bazaars. Stay tuned and keep watching NDTV Profit.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
कायर हम नहीं जो पीठ पीछे वार करे, शेर को भी जगा कर शिकार करते हैं।
ऑप्शन बुल के समय की जो सिचुएशंस थी, क्या हुआ था उस टाइम यहाँ पर?
हमारे सारे स्ट्राइक्स प्रिसाइज, मेजर्ड और एनिमी के टेररिस्ट कैंप्स पर थे।
पुशअप चैलेंज किया जाए 28, 29, 30।
तंबी कैसे? टाइगर कैसे?
Celebrating excellence across journalism and innovation, NDTV steals the spotlight at the 12th BCS Ratna Awards 2025-26. Best English News Channel of the Year, NDTV 24/7. Best News App of the Year, NDTV. Best Election Coverage of the Year, West Bengal Election Coverage. Best Podcast Show of the Year, NDTV Control All Defense. Best Primetime Anchor of the Year, Syed Suhail. Best Female Anchor of the Year, Vasudha Venugopal. Best On-Ground Coverage of the Year, Operation Sindoor Coverage. NDTV, the network of impact.
Buy now, sell immediately. Hold it, boss. Buy now, sell. Hold. Buy. Sell immediately.
Confused? What to buy? What to sell? What to hold? Ask Profit with Mahima and Puneet. Monday to Friday, 10:30 a.m. Only on NDTV Profit.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
First move sets the day, and in markets, being early is the edge. The edge begins the night before.
Before India wakes up, the newsroom is already buzzing because the market rewards those who are prepared.
That's where we come in, tracking momentum and where the markets could move next.
I decode the global pulse, shaping the market mood.
I bring insights that help you make decisions that matter.
Insight by insight, call by call. That's how we give you a head start to the day's trade.
So get ready with us every morning before the opening bell on India Market Open.
They say morning shows the day. Markets often have other plans. By midday, the story can be very different. That's when the right insights helps you rethink the day. Trades, trends, the moves that matter. Join me, Nisha Poddar, for Markets at 12, your edge for every move.
Hello and welcome back to NDTV Profit. You're watching Ask Profit the Afternoon Edition. My name is Puneet Zaveri, and over the next half an hour or so, we'll try and get to all those queries that you would have sent to us by now, also the ones that you will send now as well. So the numbers are flashing on the top of your screen. Give us a call as well on the landline number to speak to our guest as well. But a quick check of how the markets are doing, because you've seen moves that's been on the downside, and it's actually gotten more exasperated as we've gotten through the day. So we were down about 70 to 80 points in the morning by around 10:30 odd, and now down almost 186. We're below the 24,300 mark. So I think all momentum that got built into that week of cash last week has essentially fizzled out yet again. We are not seeing any kind of triggers that might get us back to that 24,500, 24,600 level. But hopefully some triggers that come through. Let's look at the heat map also for the Nifty 50. Now you're seeing a larger bearings today on the Tata Group stocks, that led by what's been the breaking news through the day, that N. Chandra has resigned essentially as Tata Sons chairman, and hence that impact visible across stocks. So TCS definitely bearing the brunt of that today, down almost 4.8% right now. The hospital stocks are also continuing to be under pressure with the news flow that we've been covering since the morning as well. Parliamentary panel committee recommendations could weigh or have some bearing on the private hospitals. And you're seeing Tata Motors PV on the back of that news flow from N. Chandra also getting impacted. Those are the weaker names in the broader Nifty 50. Also pull up what you are seeing currently on the heat map, the sectoral heat map as we talk about. Because you've seen pressure now building in across the board, but Nifty IT because of TCS is down 2.2%. Nifty PSU Bank is up, led by SBI. Finally, the advanced decline ratio before we start taking a stock related queries, because the broader market over the last week or so has been a very neck and neck. But today though, and while that's how we started off today, the declines have taken pace and how. But let me welcome in our guest now, Sachin Janardhan Sarvadi. He's a market expert on the technical side. Nandish Shah, AVP PCG Research and Advisory at Motilal Oswal, now joining in as well. Gentlemen, both of you, thanks so much for joining in on this afternoon. The first question is from MM Kapoor, who's from Lucknow. His question is on SBI. Nandish wants to know him buying at 1103 rupees per share was a good decision, if he should still continue to hold on. Good results, Nandish, from this counter. How are you looking at it now?
So amongst the PSU bank, SBI is our preferred pick, and the results which have come, especially compared to the March quarters, the June quarters numbers were quite good, and even they have raised their guidance in terms of advance growth. So it is better to hold on to this counter for a longer term.
Got it. Better to hold on for the longer term. The other is a smaller name that we haven't discussed too much, Sachin, and this one's on Divgi Talk Transfer Systems, listed I think a couple of years ago. But welcome to the show, Sachin. Would you recommend Sai to if it's